You're listening to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
You're muted, you knucklehead. Again.
Hey, did I mute myself?
All right, hold on. And go.
And away we go. Welcome back to the unmuted version of the Gettin Salty Experience podcast. It's the only one. We don't bring only the kitchen table anymore. I'm not saying that anymore, Gons. We bring the whole Firehouse experience to you, bro. Right? Yeah. To wherever you are.
I agree.
Pee-wee's down in Cape May. You know, he's 1084 from Cape May, but we're bringing it right to him. He can't be at the Firehouse. So what do? We bring it to you, wherever you are. Mrs. Procaccini ain't checking in. I know he's down in like North Carolina or something. So his wife's
sweating.
Probably got him.
That's what he's doing.
He's sweating like an animal.
It's not hot down there at all.
Yeah.
I think the whole country's sweating.
Is it? Oh, it's hot. Not hot enough to wear a New York Jets Aaron jersey, baby. Taking us to the promised land this year.
You already bought a jersey?
Who's that guy? I don't even know that guy.
Who is that guy? Come on. Stop it now.
Haven't you learned?
Promised land. That's what we're doing. I'm going to see one. I'll be more than 1 year old. I'll see a
my
Super
shirt,
Bowl.
Kid?
What's your? Yeah, I wore that yesterday, bro. Yeah. Me and Ruffy went to the 25th anniversary of the squad. Had a grand old time.
There it is. Look at it.
Yeah, look at that cup. Yeah.
I salute.
I got the cup.
I salute. A glass of urine.
Great turnout. Really great turnout, right, bro? A lot of guys showed up from the past.
My face
a blast from the past.
Was a lot of laughs. Good stuff.
So it was a good time there. It was a good turnout.
Good food. Good times.
Coobs walked in. It was like, I don't know. He was a little early, but maybe there was like 25 guys just hanging around before. We had about 90 guys, I think.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Coobs, he came in. He's like, hey, how you doing? How's everybody doing? Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. I'm like, where's Coobs? Eating. I'm like, he's the first guy on the line. He's the first guy. You know, goes up and down like 3 times before anybody else gets anything.
No, my grandfather used to call that. My grandfather used to be Johnny Foist. You got to be Johnny Foist.
Yep. Would you have to get your calories in for the day or something? What happened?
I waited. I counted my calories. I had like 1,500 left. I went to town right to the Super Sad. I had the prosciutto.
Could you imagine being 55 years old and still worrying about that stuff?
I had the prosciutto. I had everything, bro. I had the meat. And then I bit my tongue almost in half. It was bleeding all over the place.
I hate that. I bite my cheek once in a while.
Dude,
oh my God!
See it. Look.
Oh my God!
It was bleeding for 2 days, bro. I was chopping on a lamb chop, and I slipped up the bone right in my fucking tongue, bro. Bam! I had the gauze in my mouth. I had the gauze.
Maybe you will say,
"Take it easy."
Take it easy, guy.
Yeah, man.
Some for the rest of us.
When you got a display like that of food, bro, right? They had the chicken franchise meatballs. They had eggplant rollatini.
Rollatini was delicious.
Drinks were top notch too, bro.
You never go wrong with Italian food, man. It's just like we're just catered a meal every time.
A couple of these too. They were giving out over there. How you doing?
Yeah, it was smoked. Did you smoke that? Or you just took one.
I'm giving it to my friend.
Yeah, I know it. One of those guys just to take it because it's free. You know what I'm saying, bro?
No, they put it in the thing. I didn't take it. They gave it to me.
Oh, how come I didn't get one?
Because you're too busy eating, obviously.
Too busy stuffing in your face.
I was gabagool
over here.
It says gabagool over here.
Let's hear that again.
Gabagool over here.
Gabagool is over here, bro.
You're out, Coob.
I'm not even touching you.
Don't even touch anything.
I'm not even
You're
touching
out.
No, I can't because until I get old, he has certain ones we need.
See, I hold them.
So I
gotta be useful somehow, so I hold them back.
All right.
Now, Gons couldn't pull up. I got one shout out for the night. The guy I met in the bathroom at Yankee Stadium. Can't pull it up. Anyway, his name is Percy L. Del Aguila, Sr. from Florida. He said, I was the guy that met you in the bathroom in Yankee Stadium. So he
was holding your junk for you? Up.
There he is.
Nice. What did he say? Stadium. What are you like getting salty guy or something? What did he say?
I see one of these looking at me in the corner of his eye. I'm like, either he's checking out my junk or maybe he probably he watches the show. He came out and said he watched the show. So
really?
Good guy. Yep. In Yankee Stadium. I told you, then we took the selfie and my wife's in the corner like this. Oh my God, look at this guy.
You didn't sign any hats, did you?
Nah, I would have if he asked me to. That's how I go.
You have a Sharpie in your back.
That's
pocket,
how I
don't you?
go.
That's how
I
roll.
carry a Sharpie around just in case anyone else can do something.
Just in case I see somebody in a toilet.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness
never know.
gracious!
Yep.
She wants you to sign her boob.
Yeah, not,
Bite his tongue, Coops.
Gabe Fox do that out there. I already saw it, Gabe.
Oh, I can't get to that. We'll get to the commercials. I'll get to Jack.
Yeah. All right.
Get to the commercials quick because we have to get our esteemed guest in here.
All right, here we go. Let's listen to our friends
too.
Armor Tough.
Armor Tough interlocking floor tiles are the best choice to replace new or aging, stained, or cracked concrete or epoxy floors. Here's why. Armor Tough tiles come with a lifetime warranty and are usually installed in 1 or 2 days, depending on the size of your station, with virtually no disruption in daily operation. Armor Tough interlocking tiles are guaranteed from chipping, cracking, peeling, breaking, or staining. Once installed, the tiles are non-skid and non-slip and meet the ADA standards for the friction coefficient. The tiles are stain resistant and impervious to any chemicals or volatiles that are used in the fire service. Once installed, your floor will be easy to clean with just soap and water. Install an Armor Tough tile floor in your apparatus bays, offices, training rooms, workshops, exercise rooms, kitchens, banquet halls, or any other room in your station. Call Vince today for a no-obligation quote at 908-917-7697. Why install a breakable epoxy floor that will need replacing in 5 to 10 years when you could have a floor that will last a lifetime? Drop a halogen on an Armor Tough floor and you won't see any damage. Don't try this with concrete or epoxy. Join the hundreds of career and volunteer fire departments nationwide who have chosen an Armor Tough interlocking tile floor. Armor Tough interlocking tiles are half the price of epoxy and will last a lifetime without issue. Again, call Vince today for a no-obligation quote at 908-917-7697.
Oh, yeah.
Love that, Vince.
Vince is a good guy.
We're 2 up on him. He's going to buy us dinner next time.
Oh, really?
You got 2 in the bank. You know what I mean? 2 in the bank with my man, Vince.
Got to save those.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hear from First Responder.
The First Responders Center for Excellence is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to protecting the lives and livelihoods of first responders. Their education and research initiatives aim to bring greater awareness and understanding to the challenges to the health, safety, and well-being of firefighters, EMS personnel, and other first responders, too. They are an affiliate of the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation.
All right. Tonight's health and safety is coming from here, Gons. I'm not reading it, Roof. I'm not. Do me a favor. This is what I used to have the guys do, bro. When I became the senior man, I said, listen, you're here for 24 fucking hours. You need to drill on something. You need to read something. And you need to exercise for at least 45 minutes, bro. If you can't get your fat ass in the gym for 45 minutes, shame on you. You have to exercise. It's a very difficult, demanding job. And it's something that you have to do for the rest of your life, even past retirement. Stay in shape, put down the cannoli, and get your fat ass on the treadmill. All right? That's all I got to say.
Tweet's doing like 30 push-ups like every hour.
What's that?
You are?
Craig. That's what he told me.
Oh, is he doing right now, Craig? He'll tell us a little bit about it.
See, he knows how to do it. 30 push-ups every hour, bro.
Specimen, brother.
And then I used to make them go up. Remember, we used to do the elevator appreciation. I used to make them in full bunker gear go up 18 stories while it was working. 1 to 24.
Sometimes with the spreaders.
Yep, sometimes with the hearse. We had contests. A lot of guys didn't do it. They didn't like it. They kind of weren't too happy with me. But listen, you got to go up 18 flights and then operate. So you'll be thanking me.
For sure.
Yep. All right, play the last one, Gons, before we.
All right, we have hours, and do we want to do mic honors tonight, or we want to just do hours?
Do what?
Hours, and then we have mics. Do we want to?
Oh, we could do mics. And you know what? I want to give out our condolences to Mike. He lost his grandpa this past week. So let's do mics. Give him a little shout out.
10-4.
Need advice on how to start your podcast? Frustrated with the editing process? Can't find a voiceover guy? Hi, I'm Mike Colon, and I'm here to help. I'm the owner and founder of MC Media Editing Services, your premier consulting company for all things media, where I can offer you consulting advice on how to get started, and once you get started, editing, as well as voiceover work, all for a very reasonable price. If you want to reach me, you can contact me at 917-781-6189 or the email that you see listed here. I'm always available, and I'm always willing to help. Again, 917-781-6189. Why go to some giant consulting firm that's going to charge you an arm and a leg when you can just come to me? If you want to be stress-free, the way to go is to call MC. MC Media Editing Services, your premier consulting company.
All right.
I'd like to see him in the Ranger outfit. It just gets me every time.
I want to be stress-free.
Man,
I can't mimic the eyeballs, but he's
yeah.
It's better than the other one. He had the airbrush, the whole thing going.
I don't know what he had going on there.
But,
yeah. All right, guys, play the last and final one. You know what we got to do here, bro.
You want? All right, hold on. What's
If you want this,
ready?
if you want to do a 798 on your pizza, tell Roofy we want the pizza cutter. Pizza cutter's coming soon.
That's
do
not
the
bad.
798 on the
bad.
pizza.
That's not bad.
All
I
right.
can't even believe you remember those numbers.
Yeah.
You're old, bro.
All right, here we go.
If you're looking for a gift for that special firefighter in your life, then head on over to GettinSaltyApparel.com. Yes, GettinSaltyApparel.com. What do we have? Well, we carry hand-drawn original t-shirts, glassware such as mugs, shot glasses, pint glasses, engraved Arctic cooler cups, and much, much more. There's also a full line of firefighter tool bottle openers like Halligan's, nozzles, and wine bottle opener accesses too. And if you're a cigar smoker, congratulations! We have partner sauce cigar cutters and humidors. Think we're done? Far from it. We got toiletry, gear bags, koozies, a full line of hats, decals, sweatshirts, and once again, so much more. We can also personalize most of these products, and if you want discounts, hey, you've come to the right place. We got discounts on large orders for promotion dinners, weddings, as well as installation dinners. Just head on over to GettinSaltyApparel.com.
All right. That's enough of that stuff. Let's
All right,
bring
you
in
wanna
our
bring him
guest.
in?
Ruffy, you do it. You do the honors, buddy.
Yeah, you
I'll
do
do
I actually
the,
had the honor of working with Craig my last year at Sock Island. So that's where I got to know him, and that's why I wanted him on the show. So coming to the stage, firefighter Craig Breed.
Look at the guns, bro.
Oh, he's still got
Let
it.
me see. What do you got?
working.
Let's get it going. Let's get it going.
Oh, what happened?
He's a little under the weather.
Gonzo, you a little under the weather? You were sick or something? You lost a little weight? What happened there? Welcome to the show, Mr. THWEATT.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, the guy worked with you for the last year, and he's got to ask you how to pronounce your last name in the pre-show.
I
What is
don't,
that?
I don't want to make sure I didn't, it's a little silly at the end there.
Well,
My name has been butchered throughout the years. I appreciate him asking.
yeah. So I see you still keep in shape, like I was saying in the during the commercials. Nice to see. Did you always work out way on the job?
I did.
Say
I'm kind of I'm a lightweight. Well, I'm a middleweight. I'm like most I ever weighed was 185, and that's when I went on a cycle of creatine. But I'm usually like now I'm 170. I've been that weight for 30 years. It's pretty cool.
It does.
I'm the same
It's
thing.
a very this job is hard, bro. So
It is. It's a difficult, demanding job, right? You got to stay in
You
shape.
have to stay in shape.
and
Physically
I
demanding.
was fortunate. My dad was in good shape. He died, but he died at 64.
Wow.
So I'm 59. So I'm making a point that I'm gonna do as much as I can to
59.
Kevin talks about that all the time.
collect that money.
What'd your dad pass from?
A heart attack.
Yeah, my
He
dad
was,
died at 57 from a heart attack.
Yep.
So we want to collect a long time, right, Craig?
That is
So,
correct.
We want to get back at the city. We got to collect a long time, brother.
At least 30. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. At
You need to
least-
collect a lot of the vengeance.
Oh, that we got to collect.
Keep it coming your way.
Coming, boo.
Yeah. All right, listen. Let's get patriotic before we dive into Mr. THWEATT's career.
Copy that. All right. Here we go. What?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
Oh,
Oh,
Cool, bro.
I didn't touch a god.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That might have been on me. I think I may have touched the
right,
screen
right.
here,
Always
so
blaming me, right?
But it's all right. I mean, I
Oh,
would
look,
blame
Craig,
you
did you
too.
get on your computer too?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
That's a rescue guy.
That is a
I
rescue
feel like I'm
guy.
in the room.
Sock
There you
guy.
go. No.
Figure it out.
We
All
got to
right.
work on his curtains though, Kubi. What do you think?
What's that?
We got to work on his curtains. You don't have the Ginzo curtains in
I
the
don't know
back.
if he
You know
wants
what I
the
mean?
Ginzo curtains, bro.
No, he doesn't
You know
want the
what I mean?
Ginzo
Nah,
curtains. I don't want the
no,
Ginzo
bro.
curtains.
Yeah. Take them down. Be a man already, will you? Listen, Rosie. This ain't the Oval Office here. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Yeah.
Looks like Abraham Lincoln's bedroom or something you got going over there, man. Let's dive into Mr. Thweatt's career. His career. So let's talk about, I know your dad was on the job, right? So I'm assuming that's what's got you into the fire service. So let's talk about your dad and the rest of your family.
Where you grew up.
All that stuff.
My dad got on the job in 1960, got out in 1980. And I was born in 64. We moved out to Lakeview, Long Island, which is part of West Hempstead. And it surrounds Hempstead Lake State Park. So it was a really nice place to grow up. I mean, you know, it's one of those neighborhoods where everyone rode their bikes, played kickball, spud, hot peas and butter.
Hot peas and butter? What's that one? I don't know that one.
Hot peas and butter, you take a belt and hide it. Everyone turns around, you hide the belt, and now people are looking for the belt, and you're like, warmer, and whoever
gets it.
There's hot peas and butter.
Could you imagine today playing hot peas and butter?
I want to play hot peas and butter.
Some people would use the buckle.
Oh, dude,
I
I'm
might
going to
have played
introduce
something
my
like
kids
that.
to hot peas and butter, I think, bro. Next time they
Could
add
you
out of
imagine
line.
playing hot peas and butter today? We played steps. We played Johnny on the Pony. We played all those games, right? Can you imagine
they don't
playing
play
those
that
games
shit
today?
No.
No,
But it was
you have
nice.
a lawyer at your house.
The park had everything. We played sports all year round. We even played tennis because the park was right there. It was just a very nice community to grow up in. The high school was good. Malvern High School. At that time, the ratio was almost 50-50, 50-50 white, 50-50 black, and everyone pretty much got along.
The Malvern Mules.
The Mules, exactly.
I live
See?
close to that. I'm not that far from you.
They were basketball giants. So it was
play,
nice.
You played ball? You play any
I played football.
Football?
I was an outside linebacker and a wide receiver.
Look at this guy, man.
So did you actually, were you going to the Firehouse with your dad? Like, what did you know about early on? Like, you went to the Christmas parties and all that stuff?
Yeah, I remember the Christmas parties, the picnics, and then I actually remember the first night that I was in the Firehouse. I was, I think, 12. I used to go get my hair cut over in the 23 truck. My dad would give me $5. He would tell me, in fact, he would let me take the Long Island Railroad to Penn Station and take the subway uptown.
That's crazy, right?
I would get my hair cut by 23 truck. They knew instantly I wasn't from Harlem. You know, I had like the pressed denim joint, you know. You could just tell I didn't look like I was from the neighborhood and never had an issue. And then he told me to go down to 42nd Street because Playland used to be down there, the game room. And I would go there, play game rooms, and take the train back to the Firehouse.
Do any peeking while you were down there back in the day?
A little peeking, you know.
Little peeking, little.
No,
peep show?
all I wanted to do was play pinball and the driving games.
So your dad was in 23 truck the whole time?
28.
28 truck.
I mean,
We got a
28
picture,
truck.
right, Guns?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You look like your dad, man.
My son looks more like him than I do.
Does he? How old's your son?
He's 11.
Any interest in getting on the job? Oh, look at that guy. That's a boy.
He says, my wife took him to the Marine unit. They were doing the High Line. So I said, park over by the Marine unit. And he went there. He told me he's going to be in the Marine unit.
All right.
And I told him he's very smart.
Yeah, right.
That's the way to go.
You won't get beat up. That's for sure.
No.
So your dad was did you know what? Craig, my dad got on in 1960 and he went to 28 truck.
So they worked together.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
They work together.
So Craig, when we were sitting, the reason I remember you telling me about the story of like he did a roof rope rescue or something, right? Is that the picture that we have?
Yeah. He did a rope rescue. What's so cool about it is I was 3 months old. So he's on the job 4 years, and they ended up getting a woman from the inside, but that picture stayed in my locker my whole career because it was really he set a high bar, and unfortunately he passed away. I was only on the job for like a year and a few months.
Oh,
actually, it was a year and 3 months because it was December 02. I'm sorry, December 92. He passed away, and so that actually was my first. Well, I never been to a fire department funeral because when I was in the academy, Kevin Kane was killed, but they didn't allow the probies to go to the funeral. So I never been to a fire department funeral. I had no idea of the etiquette, how it worked, nothing. And then when my dad died, the guys at the Firehouse were like, "Go, we got you. Whatever you need, go." And I went. My parents moved down to Snow Hill, Maryland. That's where my mom grew up. It's like a half an hour from Ocean City, Maryland. 6 hours from here.
Mm-hmm.
I went down there, did everything we had to do. My sisters took care of everything for the funeral. And now it's time to go to the funeral. And we're literally going down the cornfields. And you can see the steeple. When I turned the block, there was a sea of firemen.
Wow.
In the street. And that's when I realized how good the job was. Irregardless of whatever goes on, I've never experienced anything like that. I worked at Chemical Bank before I got on the job. If I died, there wouldn't be a line of.
Hey, there's the
they'll take your money.
security
That's
guard.
what they'll do. They'll close out your account. That's what they'll do.
They'd be rifling through my desk.
Hey, we didn't know Craig
Wow,
had
that
this.
says
Yeah,
a
look
lot
at
about the brothers, man, all the way down in Maryland, right?
It does, and it really said a lot about my father, who he was an amazing dude because everything he did to the top. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Army, a power trooper. He was our scout leader.
Wow.
But he was the nicest guy in the world. He was strong as hell. I remember him playing football with us in high school for Thanksgiving. He was on the ground playing with us hard. And
Hard.
He rang a few bells. Yeah.
See how he said that? He was just like, we're gonna. He
So it was great. So,
That's funny.
I go to the Firehouse, and at the time, my mother was going to Adelphi to get her master's. She was a teacher. She taught in the Malvern School District, a third grade teacher. And so we're since she's going to school, we're trying to cut down. So we're having Franks and beans every Saturday. Hated Franks and beans. When I'm at the Firehouse on Saturday,
You didn't tell them that, did you?
no, but they're having steak sandwiches at the Firehouse. So I started writing notes. I'm taking notes to tell mommy that, steak sandwiches.
No more Franks and beans.
No. Now they finish the food, put everything away. They go lay down. Like they have beds here.
You're not supposed to give out any of those secrets.
And I go in the TV room, and we didn't have cable on Long Island. They had cable there, and I turned on to a channel that I shouldn't have been watching.
Nice.
Like that, right? So I'm in there by myself now. Like, oh my gosh.
You didn't write that in a journal to mom, did you?
The door opens, and my dad goes, "What goes on here stays here," and he shut the door.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
And things like that. I got to see a different side. Then I went to a job with them, and I was scared. I didn't even look up. I could feel the radiant heat from the cab, and that's when I said, "Oh, it's not just naps and steak
And
sandwiches.
steak sandwiches, no doubt. Brother.
These dudes, they really did it. They really did it with no mask.
Blue
these guys,
jeans.
Army guys, veterans, they will all shake your hand real hard. It's impressive.
Craig,
I never wanted to be a firefighter. I was going to be a drummer, a DJ, or speed racer or something else. But he told me to take the test. And I was working at Chemical Bank, and I was working for Dreyfus, and I hated it. I took the test at Columbus Circle. It was New York
That's
Coliseum.
why I took it. I did.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, we took the same test because
Yeah.
it was like 86, 87. And you got on 91. I got on 93. And they only had, I think, what number were you? Less than 1,000, probably. Like at 1,000, probably.
I think I was, I can't remember, 1201 maybe?
Yeah, I was 1,700. So think about that. Only 500 names,
Yeah.
and it was a 2-year difference.
Yeah.
So
And
they
we
weren't
had
really
the
high.
delay because the guy died.
Guy died, right? Exactly.
Taking a physical.
That's
Yeah.
where they had the dirty, ratty mattresses in the corner, right? You walked in, you're like, what are those for? And at the end, you were laying on those dirty, ratty mattresses, right?
Well, I remember, I was partying hard. I mean, I didn't do any preparation. So the day of my test, I go to Pudgy Walsh's in Jamaica. And I put the roll up on my shoulder, start running up the steps. When I got to the top of the steps, I started seeing spots and getting dizzy. And I said, what the hell did I thought I blew it. But going through that test, I knew how to pace myself when I got to the Coliseum. And I was trying to tell these two guys who had on like tight Capizios on and short ass jeans. I was like, yo,
That wasn't me, was it?
Capizios. Z Cavaricci's.
I have a pinky ring on.
I was trying to tell them how you got to pace yourself and it's about the stairs. And like, they didn't want to listen to me. I finished that test, flopped down, and this older black woman came to me. She said, baby, you did it. You did it. You got 100 plus. I look at the guys next to me. They're all thrown up in buckets.
Yeah, that was guys throwing up there, right?
And people don't understand, it's a hard job. So don't ever expect it to be given to you. It's not, because I almost blew it. And had I not gotten on, who knows? I'm sure I would have done something. But to see the look in my parents' eyes when I was in the academy,
Yeah, that's cool, man.
it was cool.
You know what I wanted to ask you when you first sent your timeline? Your dad was in 28, right? All those years. How come he didn't? He was still working, obviously, in 28. So is that why you didn't go to 28? Or
No, he
wanted
got on 1980.
you were right. He was already retired. Right.
I asked him, how come I didn't go to 28? He said, I need to forge my own path. And to the end of my career, I would have some old guy in a walker come up to me and say, your father was this. You had a gentleman a couple of sessions ago actually mentioned my dad.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so funny because when he passed, we're going through his awards. He had all these awards from the Army and the fire department. He had like a class 3, all these A's and B's. Never went to medal day, but just knowing this, the bar was set very high, and I'm still trying to attain that as a father, as a person who's civically active. If I could do half what he did, then I'll be okay. But he really set the bar high, and he wanted me to forge my own path. So when I got out the academy, or right at the end, he's like, "Where do you want to work?" And I said, "There's a Firehouse down in Houston in 6. I want to work down there." He's like, "Why do you want to work there?" And I said, "Well, I can go record shopping for DJing, maybe hit the bar." And he said, "Do you want to shop or be a fireman?" And I said, "I want to be a fireman, Daddy." He says, "You're going to Harlem." And then he sent me up to Harlem, and Jack McDonald was working, Gary Wright, Kenny O'Brien, and Abe Heyman was my first captain. And I was in good hands. I mean, first of all, Abe Heyman as a captain was all about integrity. Very integrous man. He good firefighter. He came from 71 and 55. Then was a lieutenant in 28 truck, and then he's a captain in 30. So I was working with, while I'm working with all these guys like Jack McDonald and Gary Wright, I almost felt like I was working with my dad, because he would tell me stories how sometimes people worked around him because he would always make them check the rig, and and even like I think we all have, if we're on the job long enough, we have ebbs and flows. Like sometimes I'm really on the rig, sometimes I might not check it as much. It's that time you don't check it that
Something's
you get
going to
the
happen, right?
ass
Yeah,
kicked.
yeah.
One time.
Or you don't know what a tool is. Oh my God. And so
That's a good point, Greg. We don't talk about that enough. We say, yeah, we did all this, but there were times, where, maybe we're out or maybe you got in late or whatever it was, and you might not have done it exactly as you've always done it, or, like anything, you're human, right? So, and getting to your point, like, where everybody was there, and then maybe today it wasn't done as it always was. And
everybody gets complacent. Everybody maybe has a bad day or has something else on their mind in their personal life, and maybe they don't do what they normally do.
Unfortunately, sometimes it's indicative of a house.
True.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But and that's why I feel very fortunate now. The duration of my career, it's so sad because 5 Truck and that house probably have lost more people through my tenure on the job than any other house. Because Seidenberg was in my class. He was my classmate.
Right.
That was the first tragedy there.
I just came on the job. I was only on the job a year when that happened, right?
They had that. They had 9/11, and then they had Deutsche Bank. And then right after Deutsche Bank, I'm in 113, and that's when Martinson was killed. So who had to counsel us? 5 Truck. It was for me, blew my mind because now I'm witnessing they were going through some pain. You could tell, and it's very painful. And a lot of firefighters, if you've never been on the bus that's going past the procession, it is unbelievable. First of all, the sea of blue, and then also the doppelgangers. You see people who look like that's Louis Rafano. No, it's not.
Yeah.
No. It's amazing. This job is huge, but it's like small. It's just amazing. It's a blessing.
And it's 20 deep, right? It's not just a line of guys. It's 20 deep for block after block after block after block after block.
I've done it a few times, and I have to say, and a lot of people don't understand that the thing about the longer you're around, that means the more friends you have. That means the more friends you can lose, and there is trauma in that. And we of outlet like you have here with Getting Salty is very good because you feel like you're involved, and that's why I try to tell people to get involved, like in the Vulcan Society or whatever society you're in. Get involved so you can stay in touch, and then you can also heal because we have a language that not a lot of people understand.
Very true. Yep.
100%.
Was Nicolello there?
Huh?
Was Keith there? Nicolello?
Oh, yeah, that's my man. So my first day there, right? I have my Class A's on my bag. I knock on the door. He's the first person. He's like, hold on 1 second. Boom. Slams the door. Douche. All the food in the refrigerator. And then they open the door and the guy has a hose. And I was like, we're not doing civil rights shit here. I said, stop. And the guy put it down. And then I went along with my business as a probie. And I remember my dad saying, like, don't say anything. Just keep your mouth shut and learn. You got to learn. You have to watch and learn. Stay busy. And he said, if there's any issues, he says, you'll know how to handle it. And again, I only had him for a year and
change while you were on the job, right?
Because, I actually spent most of my time in conversation at family events with my cousin Peter, and he was in that other picture. He was in 28. He went to 28 Truck. And at one point,
you or after you, Craig?
He came after. He was in 118 and transferred uptown. And so it was Nick is the reason why for my duration of my career, because he did 40 years, right? He almost did 40, something like that.
He did 40, yeah.
Yep.
He was drill, and the epitome of that is that picture of the ladder pipe, and Nick's on there because a lot of people are like, we're not going to do the ladder pipe. We have 2 tower ladders. There's 23s up there, 14, and who had the ladder pipe? 30 Truck. So that was a proud moment, and that was one of the things that I try to let the young guys know. When I went up to Rescue 3, they complimented the companies in Harlem for their readiness, because a lot of places like, have a cigar on the turntable with a stone coat. That's not readiness. If someone pops up at the window, it's like that kid. Oh man, I can't even get into it. You can't be a ladder company chauffeur with shorts on and taking pictures.
Yeah. No,
wow,
you can't do
come
that.
on.
Come on. Well, that guy, a couple of those guys in the past have caught grief, and we say that all the time on the show too. Like, we don't go on that many runs that we can't be 100% ready, right? And again, that comes back to what you said. You went to 30 truck, you went 113. You've been in places that have a lot of pride, right? That they're always ready to go. They go to work. So, but at the same token, there are places that don't do that. Unfortunately, just it's the way it is, and they don't have the same type of guys that you had, showing you the ropes and teaching you the job.
Those are the firefighters like, oh, there's no workaround anymore. I'm like, oh yes, there is.
It only takes one.
Come to South Jamaica.
I
live in South Queens. I hear the sirens, and I can tell the difference between an EMS run.
Dude, my kids say that all the time. Dad, how do you know that's a bus? I'm like, I know it's a bus. That's why. How do you know that's a police car? I know it's a police car. That's how.
You hear
when you're not around a long time when you can make decisions on this.
I work with he retired as a captain, Mike Carbone. He was in 30 truck, right? And we teamed up a lot on inside, and I'll never forget. We'll go into a job, multiple calls. He sticks his head out the window. He's it's in the cock loft. Certain people, the way they assess the job and are at the job, you want to be like them. And I'll save that for later. That's my tip, man.
Yep. That Mike Carbone. I think that's the Carbone. He was in 290, 103. Yes. Is that? Yeah. No doubt.
Yep. And then he went to 303 as a captain.
Great guy.
Let's go back to your first tour where it said your first fire was a third alarm. On your first tour?
My first tour, we went to a third alarm fire. I think 34 truck might have been first due. And I couldn't understand why the guys were like going, woohoo! I was like, wait, hold up. And they were like getting amped up. I was literally coughing in the street. I was not used to it and went through it. The picture's great because I was happy. And there was a chief there. I forget his name. He had a cigar in his mouth after the job. He was like, nice. He saw that it was my first day. He's like, you're going to love this job. You're going to get the shit scared out of you, but you're going to love it. It's like that. I was like, and once I broke my cherry, I was really, all I wanted to do was get like burnt up but be effective. You know what I mean? Not, really go to a job and go as hard as I could. And when you're young, it's amazing. I was 27.
Yeah.
I was ready.
You want to make an impact at the job.
Right? We got some 30 truck picks right there, Gons.
Yes. Some 30 truck picks.
All right, here we go. We're going to bring this guy up here.
That's my guy right there. When you showed me that picture before.
Oh, shit. Tommy Gardner. One of my favorite guys I ever met in the fire department, and he was in hazmat when I was in the squad.
Yeah. He was a very, very bright guy, smart, funny. His locker was right next to mine. You also have my big brother, John Barry, is with the white shirt. In front of him is Donnie Whoop, great chauffeur, great truckie. There's another picture. Donnie Whoop was a chauffeur at that fire. And Tim Reardon, he was a chief. He was Watkins Street at some point, too. I don't know whether he was a boss in one of the companies or whether he was a chief there. Yeah, Timmy Reardon. Really nice guy.
Was it in reference to this picture you were talking about?
This is that's Steve Elliott on the left. He actually gave me this picture night of my retirement. We were probies together. He was a month ahead of me. They ran 2 classes simultaneously. It was a total of 200. I was the only brother in the class. And then he and I go to 30 together. It was great. He's the captain of 23 truck now.
Wow.
His dad was the lieutenant, Nady.
Who's the boss there?
That's Gary Wright. He worked in 28 truck as a boss. There's a picture I have of him at the door with no mask. That right there. That's Gary Wright. doing it. That doesn't inspire
That's
you.
a Mike.
Yeah.
That's a Mike.
Dick.
What's a Dick picture, right? Yeah. That guy.
Mike Dick is the greatest fire photographer ever. Because this is not digital. The two things, because I would have classes at Vulcan Hall. I would show pictures like this. First of all, to inspire them, to let them know that they've been brothers on this job for a long time. And for anybody in the firehouse, whether you're black, white, whatever, if you want respect, you have to produce on the fire floor.
Right.
And when I see
Nobody cares, bro. Nobody cares what color you are, as long as you're
give
doing
a
what
shit.
that guy's doing right there.
Yeah, because then if I'm doing this and then you're beefing me back in the kitchen, it must be personal, and then we can take care of that another way.
Right.
But when you're doing this and then go back to the firehouse, everybody is like loving each other.
Yeah, because everybody's
when there's no
pulling
fires,
away.
that's when all the but when you're actually coming back from work,
Dude, that guy's pictures. I've been posting pictures
That's a
on Instagram. I
fucking
mean,
great
all his
pic.
pictures are just like this, where he was able to see the fire. A lot of times, he was able to sneak up behind the guys and take pictures in the hall, like of
which
all
means the
the
roof man,
tenements.
that means the roof man vented.
Yeah, vented, right?
Because this is an analog camera, and the flash would catch all the particles of smoke if it was really smoky. This is well vented. He forced the door. It's rolling. I mean, I get excited looking at that picture.
I think we all do.
Because I remember I dressed like this when I had the OV. I wouldn't do it on the inside. When I had the OV, I wore my boots, and we had the belts. You know,
Yeah.
like pirates.
I only had that for a few years. Like you had that
Dude,
for a
you
couple
gotta
of years.
you gotta grab that pic too, man.
Oh, I've seen that. I think I probably posted that pic. I didn't know who it was.
You got
I
more
posted
guns?
that
I'm
pic.
getting all verklempt over here.
Well, I have a good one here from 30 Truck as well that I'll share with you guys.
Not that much fire there. You got another one?
That was
scary.
Someone that was right down the street from the firehouse. That was my first roast. Very impactful. I mean, we got in there, and the woman had gone to the corner store. It was burning. You see how it was burning? It was burning so clean that when we were in the apartment, in the living room, we couldn't get in there, and you could see the crib and you could see the body of the baby.
Oh boy!
And once we put the fire out, they had me place the baby in the bag, and that was the same weekend that my nephew was coming to stay with me. So I cried, and I realized that this is not a joke. So I got to try my best. And the boss was Jack McDonald, and I remember Jack McDonald is a Gordon Bennett winner. And from what I understand, from what everyone told me, his reputation was stellar. He was a great fire officer, calm as hell. But I remember him pounding on the floor as this room is just lit up. They came with the line, put it out, and
because he knew he couldn't do anything there.
We couldn't. And he was the boss the first time I was on the floor above and it lit up. Because I went to the front. I think I took the window in the front, and then I went into the window in the shaft. It was in the kitchen. And I said, "Hey, boss, I don't need to take this." As soon as I said take, it got black instantly and hot. And I just went to the floor and I spun around a few times. And I was disoriented. And I hear him on the radio as calm as day. He's like, "Hey, 69, you got any water in that line?" And all of a sudden you hear the scraping of the water underneath you. And it got cool, it lifted, and I said, that's the type of guy I got to be. I have to be calm. So I had bosses, all the bosses I had, Jack McDonald, Gary Wright, Kenny O'Brien, E.J. Tierney, Jim McCluskey.
Yeah. Wow.
That's in Harlem. That was my Harlem. McCluskey.
Big hands, right? McCluskey.
Big hands, big calves. There's a picture. I should have got that. There's a picture of my calf. And his calf is like the size of my thigh.
It's like a bowling ball.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So it was Harlem was really first of all, it was the 90s. I'm 27. It's the best time for hip hop. So I would be in Harlem on a Friday night on a rig
He had the flat top back then, Gons. Give him the flat top pick. Let's see the flat top.
Oh, the death.
Come on.
I'm coming.
Kurt Lesser said you knew what decade it was. Like if he had the nice.
There he is.
Yeah.
That don't even look like you, man.
I get that all the time.
I think he looks better now. For Christ's
Thank
sake.
you.
I can't believe this guy's older than us.
Well, he had that little porn stash working there. I don't know.
Yeah, the
But it was the
Bow Chicka
90s.
Wow
You
Wow.
know, it was the 90s. That's what we did. Nice.
I love it.
That's good
Best
shit.
kitchen table ever.
This is the kitchen table, bro. You got
For
to
sure. I got
But Harlem was, I mean, 2 job nights. I remember specifically one night early in the tour, job came in. It was on the west side near 14 truck. I saw the smoke, went up the fire escape. I prided myself in being agile and quick. Go to the window. It's not that apartment. So I went to 14. I said, hey, this is 30 truck OV. I took the wrong fire escape. Make sure you open it up for the boys and then go above and I'll make my way in. Because that's what the OV is supposed to make a way out for the inside team. You know, all that stuff. Basic ladders 3. We were taught ladder 3, make your position. That was it. Make your position. That's all you have to do. And I was pissed off. We go back, getting ready to pull the rig, and someone says, holy shit. Fire right across the street from the Firehouse. 25 truck was in the Firehouse, so they were second due. Because we took it right in. Right, so listen, now I got it. I go to the rear. It's top floor, fly up, get in there, make a report. I came in off the rear. Let me know when you're going to open up the line, blah, 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 blah. Sweet. I felt like Superman. I get down in the street, and John Barry was the chauffeur. He's like, what did you do? I said, I went up the rear, went in. It's like, cool. He says, but now you know you're supposed to take the saw up to the roof. That's when they changed it.
Right.
It used to be, OV didn't really have, that wasn't his tool. And this job, no matter where, you're good as your last fire.
You
I
say
was
that
going to
all
say,
the time,
you had an opportunity right there. Guys don't get a chance to do that sometime nowadays for like 6 months. You make a mistake now. I mean, you had like an hour in between, not even. You know, you had a job, you came back. 10 seconds later, you had an opportunity to redeem yourself if you felt like you did something wrong.
The first day that I had the OV, we caught a job. We got in first due near 40 truck. And this particular one had the steps, and then you actually had a moat underneath the steps. So it went down to where the, I guess the super would go. And the woman's right there with her lips on the child gate.
Wow.
Pushing out black cotton. So I run up, jump on the ledge. I take my Halligan. And then what are you supposed to do on the scissor gate? What are you supposed to hit? What part?
You talking about the child gates?
The hinges. You know, the scissor gate.
The full scissor gate.
Oh,
yeah.
I went for the lock and fell. Next thing you know, Nick put the ladder through. I landed on my feet, came around, and then they ended up getting her from the inside. But that was, first of all, I messed up. I should have gone for the hinges, popped it open. I would have been like, boom, got her out, and then, but every fire, like I remember the mistakes more than anything else. And I try to pass that along because, you know, we all, listen, everyone knows what a Halligan falling down the stairs of a bulkhead sounds like. That means the guy fell.
Or go flying across the roof. Ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding, ding.
The loudest thing.
Or a can getting thrown down the hallway, maybe.
Hold on, I want to go back. He put the ladder through the gate.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nick was good with the stick.
No
You know, we
doubt.
learned. I mean, we were very
Nice.
technical. I thought we were very technical rear mount, where we try to use it to our advantage. You don't see guys putting it in the window and doing what they're supposed to do.
Right.
And a lot of things, you know, for me, it was always about getting in fast. And it's like just getting fast. You know, it was an athletic house. We very good softball team. We played handball after dinner all the time. Captain Heyman was an incredible handball player. I think he only lost once in the Firehouse.
He was in the truck or the engine?
He was my captain in the truck. Abe Heyman. He was a really great guy.
Did you work in the engine at all, Craig?
No. I didn't even go across the floor for 30 days.
I was going to ask you that. Did you do a 30-day
No.
detail?
The only time I went across the floor, one of my buddies was becoming a lieutenant, Blake McLaughlin. So he switched with me. He was in the engine, and he went to the truck. They never gave me the nozzle. I always had, so I put my first fire. First time I ever touched the nozzle at a fire was in Tactical Support 1 at a 7th alarm up in Washington.
30 years later.
30 years.
I had never.
The knob is a job's all bullshit anyway.
And I was exhilarated. I was like, now I see what the hype is about. But to me, I was definitely a truckie. I like climbing. I like crawling in a fire apartment on fire with no hose. It is amazing how your senses are so heightened that a chair seems like it's this big. Everything is exaggerated. Yeah, and you have to literally calm your mind down and slow yourself down. So
calm your breathing.
Yeah, when you hear yourself, you have.
You know what the greatest thing is when you go through a room and then they knock the fire down and then it clears and you look back at what that room looks like and what you thought it was like. From just crawling in the dark, it's that to me was always pretty amazing. Like
it feels like Madison Square Garden, and it's
it's like
10 by
a
10
room.
size room. Yeah.
Exactly, that's the truth.
How long do you think it took before? I mean, you work with so many legends. I mean, Keith was a great guy, and the legend of your dad. How long did it take before you felt comfortable? Like I got this. I could do this.
I'd say 5 years I started really feeling.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Because that's the truth.
And I tell you what, even once I started getting detailed, I felt the difference. I would go downtown, nobody was dirty. Or they would come uptown to our house and they would look at it like with disgust. And just like, and I also remember my friend, I forget his name, Bernie. What was Bernie's name? He was in 16 truck at the time. Now he's in 37, but 16 truck got relocated, and he was like, man, he said, you work in a premier truck company, and I had never thought about. I'm like, and then I started looking at the numbers.
Oh yeah,
because we were always like top 10.
You're always
15. And the thing about Harlem, this is Harlem, this phone, right? Oof, here we go. So this is 125th Street down here. This is 155th. So this is 34 truck, 23. 30.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
This is Harlem. Now, there's a couple of maps around that have the whole city. This is 157's first due district.
Yeah, it's crazy, brother. I got you, man.
So
it's crazy.
We were banging it out, but our numbers were different. In fact, one of the things about Harlem and the Bronx, the engines had very high numbers in comparison with the trucks. They were almost like together. Most houses went together, but in Brooklyn, you would have places like even like 111 and 214, both phenomenal companies, but the numbers are just off.
111 is first due with 5 engines.
Yeah,
right?
We didn't have that. We were first due with
your own engine.
And so it was a different feel and just a different, and that's why our responses were like, you turn the corner, you see 28 coming down the street, you're like, yo, you got a 28. Yeah, we would definitely turn out quick. We would hit the corner first. If you see the company and you look down the street, nothing's really popping off, they got it. And even if it's popping, we were literally on top of each other. And
Craig, I'm not kidding. I think I've said this before. When I got on the job, I got on 93, right? So 2 years after you, give or take. And I used to start listening to the radio, right? I started getting into who was working, right? Where the work was. And I was catching good work in the store for Queens,
Mm-hmm.
And I would hear the scanner would scroll, right? Boop, Manhattan. Manhattan box 1242, Manhattan box 1400, Manhattan box 1600, Manhattan box 1340, Manhattan box 1075 the box, 1075 the box, 1075. I cannot tell you how many times I heard that. And then, I mean, for years, for quite a few years. And then I would say, I don't know how long, it kind of, there was a drastic change. Like from
when they put the Starbucks in.
when the white people were sipping cappuccino. But yeah, I mean, it was a drastic change from the 12th battalion, 16th battalion. It was, the 1,600 boxes were all the way north. I didn't even know the boxes, but I started to figure out. And 16, 1,800, 1,700 was all the way north. 1,200 was by 58 or lower, right? I didn't even know where the boxes were, but I kind of had a feel just from how many jobs they were going to. You know what I mean? Like, it was every night. I would listen. Guys would go to sleep. I would listen. I would buff it, and it was all the time, bro. I'm not, and I tell guys all the time that was no joke.
I would be upset if we had a night where I slept all night. I would be upset. And then by the time 30 came, I was like,
I was going to say, bro, 30 years, you're like this.
But it was
allegedly.
Your expectation was you were going to work, and you just were. It was sweet, man. Especially when we had the rubber boots, man. It was so different because we didn't have, like, 30 Truck was a pilot company for the hoods. And so we put the hoods on, went in, and I was like, I hate this. I didn't wear a hood until I went to Brooklyn, because Old tenements and the brownstone, they're more open than a private dwelling or some of the smaller
3 stories
straight ones that go into in Brooklyn are everywhere. And everyone in Brooklyn was hooded up too.
Yeah, let's talk about. We got to start moving along. Actually, we're at the hour.
This is the question I've been dying to ask.
I know what he's going to ask him.
Why'd you leave 30 Truck and go to Brooklyn to 113?
I moved to Brooklyn. What was it? 96. I was living in Brooklyn, and I got to see the big buildings in Brooklyn, because we used to make jokes about the little Brooklyn buildings. We'd say, "No, how do you get to the roof in Brooklyn?" Someone's like, "How?" And you would just jump on a chair. But the thing that really got me, we were having some type of a function at the house, Firehouse. We had a detail there, and he was like, "Man, this place is just like our place." I'm like, "Where do you work?" He's like, 113. It's like, "This is just like our Firehouse." And I was like, And I went to the numbers. I was like, "What? Number 2, number 1 when they were 248." Number 1 in the city for a couple of years, but they were always up there. And when I looked at the neighborhood, I loved it. It's tenements, brownstones, and
brownstones all over there. Brownstones, yeah.
You have, so I never went to a private dwelling fire, so I went to the Firehouse with a cake. I saw Pete Frontera. He gave me this.
He was there a long time, man. That guy was there.
He's been on Rogers Avenue his whole career.
Long time, man.
I
know that guy. Look at that young guy. Holy shit.
That's Al Grogan on the left. He's a super gentleman. His son works in 23 Truck. That's probably my best friend on the job, Kirk Coy. And that's Nick the Dick. He's great. When I talk about laughs, because we would work out together. We had a very good synergy because we were buffed out. Like, we talk about fires and
he is so. I don't really, since I met him, he's in the top 3 guys that I've ever met that is absolutely lives it. I mean, that's all he's doing.
It's like every fiber of that guy's being.
Every fiber until he's dead. I was
worried about him. I'm like, what are you gonna do? But he put in good work, and he loved 30 Truck. And 30 Truck was a lovable place. It was a great firehouse. We partied hard. Like, if it was a barbecue, it was packed. Everyone took the job seriously. They kept most things in the Firehouse. Like, if there was an issue, we dealt with it accordingly. And I learned. I learned how to manage myself. I learned how to manage others. And the thing that made it easier was, if you performed on a fire floor, then if there was a beef in the kitchen, you could really handle it. You'd be like, let's talk about it, because it can't be that the tools aren't oiled up, the coffee's ready, there's ice in the cooler, everything was squared away. Why is there a problem?
Something else. Yeah.
You said it before, right? It has to be personal then, right? It's gotta
Yeah.
be something personal.
Well,
And we
listen,
can-
that's always, no matter what, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be guys. There's 50 guys in a place. Let's say there's going to be guys that you become brothers with, like tight for your whole life, and then there's going to be guys that you're going to have to
Tolerate.
Well, occasionally back then that was the case. You had to say, listen,
You have to talk to
something.
people. Like if I had someone say something disparaging, as soon as I got in the Firehouse, I'm a pro using the N-word, I had to talk to them. I said, listen, I talked to them aside. I said, listen, I'm new here. I'm happy to be here. I said, but when I'm here, don't use that because it's a loaded word. Stuff my dad had to deal with. I'm not trying to deal with that. And I said, I just want to come here and prove myself. And guy was very apologetic. We're friends to this day, but I had to address it right away. I didn't know whether it was a litmus test to see what I was going to do or whether he was just generally woefully ignorant. But the one thing I know is when a pro becomes, everyone knows. It's like when a woman comes into the Firehouse, everybody knows. So, like my dad said, I would know the difference. And whenever the difference would come up, I would address it. Because the job is, I've met so many beautiful people in this job that, this guy needs a talking to.
Yeah, it sticks out too easy, right? Yeah. It's just too easy.
Because I've had so many people help me, and especially towards the end of my career when my mom was sick, the job took care of me, and they showed me so much love that it was, I can't say enough. But people have to be addressed, and I encourage everyone to address people directly. Yeah. And then if it gets out of hand, then you have other tools. Fortunately, that's why I stayed in the gym. I'm not a big guy, but I was like, okay.
Let's go. I'd rather get my ass kicked now than have to deal with talking to you.
And it never came to that.
Yeah.
It never came to that because it's addressed immediately. I always feel that you have to performance before advocacy first. Not that you should be quiet ever, but you got to do your job. I can't, drop the line in the basement and run out and then go in the kitchen and protest. Like, that's not going to work.
Dude, that's the truth right there, bro.
I don't care what your protest is, what your problem is. It's not going to work. So when you
that's the truth.
When people just count on you to do your job, you don't have to be the Superman, but if you just do your job, now we can address the problem because it just has nothing to do with my profession.
I think that's really the key, Craig. You hit it right on the head, brother.
Right.
I mean, that's really the key and we've said it. I can't say it enough. I know it didn't matter to me. I didn't care what the heck you were. As long as when I went down the stairs, you went down the stairs, right? So I think that I don't know how that is now, but back then it seemed like that was easy to shake out. I don't know if it's easy to shake out now if you don't do your job. I think that's always been kind of like the feel that I've had where you could say anything to anybody, anytime, if you weren't doing the job, and it would shake out. Whether you weren't going to be there anymore, you were going to put your paper in or whatever it was, right? You were going to be able to move on just so that you weren't in that house anymore because people couldn't depend on you. Whatever it was, it didn't matter. White guy, black guy, it didn't matter what the heck it was. You know what I mean?
Everything there was about accountability. Like you had to be accountable for your position where after the job, the chief would come to the Firehouse and talk to you. What did you do? Where'd you go?
Yeah.
The chief would come. And we're talking, I always fond of Chief Kennedy. He was one of the authors of Lattice 3, I believe. He would drill with us. All those chiefs in the 16th were thorough. And they would come and just question us right after the job, what we did, how do we do it, any problems, any issues. And you had to be accountable. First thing Chief Kennedy would do, he would come in the building, look around. Then he would look right up the stairs to look at the skylight. So when I see young guys now not taking the skylight, because I'm like, you have no idea what's going on. Just because it's like smoke they probably holding the door back with the can. You don't know what's going on. Take the skylight until you're told not to. That's it. Bread and butter, man. You should, if you're in the truck, you should be able to pull yourself up. And that's why I work out. You have to. Can you do 10 pull-ups? You got to be able to do 10 pull-ups because that's pulling yourself up once in the bulkhead.
I can't do one pull-up. Now, anyway.
I
could.
You're not breaking any skylights, so good thing. You know what I mean? Let's get into 113. So when you finally do get there, how did the guys accept you? Did you feel
it was
like
a rat? That's what happened. He turned into a rat.
I feel like
I recall I was at the sink. I'm the new guy. So I'm doing new guy stuff. I'm in the sink. Someone throws firecrackers at my feet. It pops off, and another guy yells in my ear, "What are you doing in this shithole?" And I said, "I came from a shithole." I said, "My place."
And you had 10 years, right? How much time did you have? When
I had
you did
10
this?
years.
10 years.
I had 10 years.
Break that shit.
But I think my glasses and the way I look is very unassuming. So people, I was like, I said, nah. I said, I came here, you know, and I never let anything bother me because that's what I was brought up. You know, you brought up. I've seen so much. Like, I'm talking about guys, and this is another Chief Kennedy thing. I'll be quick. When my dad died, my first day back was Christmas, and I was just, and again, I didn't know etiquette because I'd never done a Christmas. BHS, I'm not coming to work. The guy's like, "Are you sure?" I said, yeah, I'm not coming to work. Okay, click. 5 minutes later, "Hey, it's Chief Kennedy, Craig. You should go to work." I said, "Okay, Chief." He's like, "Yeah, you don't want the guys to think you're a rubber, so just go to work." I said, "You got it, Chief." Click, just like that. Because I saw a guy 5 years later not come in who had a lot of time. His locker was thrown off the roof into the street.
Because you're a rubber.
And
And
don't be a rubber.
you
Don't
know,
be a
little
rubber.
lessons like straight, no chaser was it was therapeutic for me because he's looking out for me.
Right.
And when you're getting advice from a chief, you need to take it. Some guys, I've seen guys not, when I argue with chiefs, I'm like, you're a firefighter. This guy's trying to hook you up, trying to save face. And so I go to 113 and I felt right at home. Because I feel like I just have to get used to the neighborhood. And that's when I learned I'm looking at the rig. It's like the first run. I'm like, why is there a bolt cutter in the rig? That should be in the back. We didn't have bolt cutters like that in Harlem. In Harlem, you go to a old law, even a new law. You look at it. If you have the OV, nothing showing. You go inside, go under the stairs to the rear every single time. Now I'm in Brooklyn on Westbury Court. I look up, don't see anything. I go in.
Door's locked.
There's no door.
Oh, there's no door.
I come out. I see 132 with bolt cutters. And I said, oh, okay. And that's the beauty of going to different places. Like, you're going to learn stuff, how they do it. You're going to adapt. And that was a fun part about going there and just seeing how they did it. And they have phenomenal firefighters. They had a phenomenal attitude about work. The turnout was quick. We had
That's the captain there, isn't it?
No, that's Danny LaRocca. That's my buddy. I drove him. He's a Jolly Rogers before he
oh, is that right?
into the Rats. Yeah, he's another Rogers Avenue guy. And there's and for anyone watching this, if I don't remember names, charge it to my head and not my heart, because I did have to go through a detox of this job. I had to like pull back. You know, I had gone through. You realize when you start going through the reel of the stuff you've seen, it can. And I wanted to center myself on this chapter, and that was a great group. That Firehouse is great. We had a lot of laughs.
Was Chief Daly there?
No, he had gone.
He had left. He left already.
Yeah.
What about Dennis Murphy? Because he was there for a little while, wasn't he?
He was a lieutenant there, but he was probably.
I was the bosses there were Tom Cruiser, Eric Skank, and Danny LaRocca, and that's Danny right there. They were phenomenal bosses. Cruiser was there. Cruiser was from 123 and went to right to 113. He did over 20 years there.
Wow.
Danny was in 255, 157, came over. I think he was in both companies. So was Captain Frontera. He came right down. I mean, it was. I'll never forget Captain Frontera at a fire. It's like a torch job, and people were bailing out of windows. And he would just stood up in the middle of the crowd and just pointing, telling everyone what to do. Calm as heck. And whenever I see that, I'm like, that's how I gotta be. I have to stay calm. Because it's like being in the woods. You don't just run. You don't run into a tree. You have to be calm and make your way through. And I was very impressed by the leadership in that firehouse. The engine was top notch. The engine, I think, was one of the biggest engines. When I first got there, all the guys were like 250 pounds in the engine, huge.
Wow.
And then I got to see how Rescue 2 was. Rescue 2 was very on top of you, as opposed to 3 was always in the gaps. And I remember 2 was on back.
Well, they're
And
close there, right?
It was a different.
pretty
So
close.
I see why everyone gets out and turns out like that. You gotta
Get your piece of the pie.
Yeah, and it was very, very, very exciting. I loved it. But my first 3 months there, all I heard was boop, boop, second alarm, Manhattan box 15.
Oh,
I said I made a big
son of a
mistake.
bitch.
I was going to ask you if you had any second thoughts at all.
I did. I was like, what's going on? The camp, I said, they call this place the camp.
Camp.
Rogers. I'm like, this neighborhood's beautiful. First of all, it's a beautiful neighborhood.
It really is got great buildings there, right across the street. I mean, even the Firehouse itself has like the little cupola on it, right? I mean,
That's where the Dodgers lived. They lived on Maple and a couple of streets right near the Firehouse. That's where the Dodgers lived.
Oh, we have the picture, right,
Yeah,
guys?
Gons, pull it up.
Which one is it? I'm sorry.
Oh,
I was
come
The
on,
one with
fella.
Jackie
Come on,
Robinson.
Pete.
Oh, yeah.
This picture was given to me by Fireman Dempsey. He was in 113. He ended up at where do you go? 313. But this picture is phenomenal.
That's
And that's
great.
another thing I dug. When I got there, if you go to 113, it says Brooklyn Fire Department on the front of the
Yeah,
firehouse.
BFD, right?
To this
right,
day.
right.
Doesn't no, it says Brooklyn.
Oh,
the
it's
whole
spelled
word.
out? Is that
Yeah.
right? That's freaking. I worked there a few times. I remember saying to myself, 103 is a shithole, but this place is a shithole.
Well, those firehouses like 103, 112, they're like pirate ships.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No one's really concerned about it being pretty. Everybody just wants to go to work. And then when they come back, everybody wants to just, get ready for the next one.
Next
That's
one.
what it was. It was great. That was a good fight. And there was a lot of synergy. I made a lot of good friends there. The guys were great. And they had one guy in particular, very quiet man, but he was a beast, was Mark Conaway. He's a Marine unit now. But this dude, I remember he showed me a technique with the 12-foot straight ladder. He's like, can you use this ladder? And I was like, not really. He was like, watch. He took the hooks out, boom, made it a scaling ladder.
Wow.
And that became the drill that I did all the time. Like, if you're in a truck, you should be able to pull yourself up this ladder, and not everyone can do it. I said, maybe you should be in Queens or something. Engine. These sexy stories aren't for you.
Or Florida.
Shots fired.
Oh,
Miami-Dade.
yeah.
You should be in Miami-Dade or something.
yeah. Oh, there it is.
go.
Yeah.
Look at
I never
Gons.
realized
He's
that.
redeeming himself now. See, I called
But-
it Pete, and that
But you
was
see
it.
that little, you see the cupola there, Coobs, on the right there? It's really awesome.
I passed that firehouse all the time. Well, I used to when I used to do stops in
That's
Brooklyn.
and do you know there's the mirror image is engine 240. Is the same firehouse, but the cupola's on the other
It's
side.
reversed. Is that right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
So
Yeah, that was a great. I remember eating on the ping pong table over there a few times. I remember.
it's one of those things too. I never wanted to say what if, like what if I went to Brooklyn, what it'd be like. I had to see for myself. And the beautiful thing was Captain Heyman, 30 truck, he said, if you don't like it, you can come back. Can you imagine that?
Doors open. That's great.
I mean,
Yeah, that usually doesn't happen just because guys take it personal, right? You're leaving them, kind of thing,
Well, they
So-
rode me, but most guys,
Yeah,
after
listen,
they
you
rode
expect
me,
that.
they were like, "You're making a good move," because it was just different.
Well,
And-
it's
and
good
they
for
were-
your family, right? I mean, the bottom line. Oh, that's a beautiful firehouse.
Yeah,
That's the bottom line. Like we say all the time, man. If you live in Brooklyn and you're traveling to Harlem, I mean, you're passing a lot of places. You're taking time away from your family, right? I mean, you want to do.
but it wasn't even the travel because it was more. I wanted to experience Brooklyn. What's the hype? And what I found is it's the same but different. That's it. It's the same, but because the 3/8 Battalion reminded me of the 16th because all three of the firehouses got along.
132.
When you,
123, right?
Yeah, when you got out of more like in the East, they were more combative, like where you guys were.
Yeah,
290, they were
a lot
more,
of hate.
There's
Lot of
more
hate.
acreage, so there's a lot more.
A lot of hate.
But it's that competitive nature that made Brooklyn what. And you also saw when Brooklyn lieutenants came, how they were weirded out by how we were like, hold up, bro. You know, they're right there. They got it. They would look at us crazy. And I remember one particular guy, he had a Jolly Rogers patch on. He was didn't smile or nothing. Fast forward, I'm looking at this guy.
Things you remember.
This is 2010. I'm like, you were that lieutenant. It was Tommy Gardner. He was rotating.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. Crazy man. Love Tommy, man.
Crazy dude.
Crazy dude, man.
So
that guy's crazy.
It's a small job.
What do you think the biggest difference is between the two places?
Location.
That's it? Just the buildings, location?
It's the same fervor. Especially now, you know, Brooklyn was the first time I had an EMS run, and I remember, and I won't even name the company, but they looked at the patient. They didn't touch the patient. That's when Brooklyn was protesting. I was in 30, got detailed, and I was like, wow, because we were actually doing it. But I understood, but it didn't make sense to me not to help somebody.
Right.
That's like I was told my father told me never go on strike. If we go on strike, we're going to lose the confidence of the people.
Smart man.
Yeah, my son asked me about striking. I was like, no, we don't strike. I said, I'm not going to strike.
Nobody ever wins in a strike, man. They just don't.
Not with no. I couldn't even imagine.
Could you imagine there would be
seeing that baby in that fire? I could never not, you know, that's fireman's. That happened to that kid in Brooklyn last year. He made a grab walking down the street. I forgot where he was from.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
He just got him
off duty. Yeah, off duty. Yeah.
And he happened to have his son. He was doing like probably for his kid a demonstration. So he had a Scott pack.
Oh
shit. Dude, that's when you know things are lining up for you, man.
Yeah, right.
I dreamt about that. I've had more nightmares where the person is behind bars in a basement. I can't get to them.
I can't get on the rig, or my gear don't fit. Or
I have that all the time. Do you have that dream that you can't find your gear?
Yeah.
All the time.
I have the dream where I'm around the block and can't make it.
I have the same dream sometimes too, bro. It's crazy.
That's anxiety.
All right, so you did quite a bit of time there, though. You did 8 years, right?
Yeah.
So Sock came a calling, or what happened?
No, I always wanted to go to Rescue 3. I was detailed a 28 truck in like 93 at the Polo Grounds. We had an elevator emergency. So I had the elevator kit, which had popsicle sticks. I don't know if anyone used those.
Yeah.
You should be able to move the elevator.
Yeah, you can move the elevator up on the top.
We tried everything. Nothing worked. And housing ESU came. Housing used to have ESU. They tried everything. Nothing happened. And then these two guys from Rescue 3 come up with stone coats that are shredded, tiny little yarmulke helmets. And they put the Halligans on the brake, on the big wheel. They loosened it just a little, and the wheel slowly turned. And then you heard the radio say, stop. We got him. We're up. And they just walked out. And I said, okay. So one day when my helmet's shriveled and I'm old, I want to go rescue there. And I felt I had to be ready to go. And I went there with 18 years.
Wow.
And I was humbled. I thought I was the best firefighter in Brooklyn coming. I felt great. I was like 40 something. I was lifting heavy, deadlifting. I was just ready. I was humbled by the knowledge base that these men had.
Who'd you go to see, Captain Tissot?
No, I saw Captain Elson. That was my first.
Oh, did you? Is that right? Yeah.
And we sat down for like about an hour, and he said, well, the chief's on his way over. The chief came, talked to me, and then he told me he would consider me, put me on the list, and I waited. How many years? 2 years I waited. And a lot of guys, I see guys now who want it right away. And, anyone who's never been applied to SOC, what happens is you apply, they say you're on the list. If someone comes before you, they send you a letter saying someone else went before you. If you want to protest, you can. And I chose not to. The guy came before me, had 23 years on, Tommy Fredette.
Oh my God, what a great guy! Man.
Then Brian Brown.
Oh my God,
Who,
I just talked to Brian the
Brown,
other day.
Brian Brown trips over medals. He gets so many medals. You know what I'm saying?
We're gonna get him. I just spoke to him.
Fall out of his pocket.
My daughter plays flag football with his daughter. I gotta get him on.
And then my classmate Jimmy Lowe. Jimmy Lowe started out in 332, 175. Then he went to 33 truck, and it's the same. I left 30 and then went to Brooklyn. It was like that, and then we end up working together. It was a blessing. Steve Carney was in the class. Steve's been there a while, long time. And these are all guys with steady hands. And I learned from everybody. It was, like I said, it was very humbling because I felt I was a very good firefighter, but the technical stuff.
Yeah, it takes time for that.
And even the firefighting techniques that we all have collectively just makes you a better firefighter. You have to be ready to absorb that information humbly and then apply it and listen to the stories, listen to, when the roof is laying down on the beams, not to bug out. If you never had that happen, at least if you hear it, talk about it, you can understand what's happening so you can articulate to the chief that we are okay up here. And you have to be able to articulate to that lieutenant who has them putting a line into the vent hole that, hey, boss, you're spreading the fire horizontal.
No bueno. Yeah.
They want to tell them to shut it down so it doesn't blow down on them. You have to, because it's a different ballgame. It's like becoming a chauffeur is different than being on the irons. You have to see the whole vantage point, and when you're in rescue, you have to see everything. And at first, it's overwhelming. Even a tool assignment was hard. It was hard for me not to have a Halligan in my hand. If I didn't have a Halligan, I felt naked, and I forget what position doesn't have the Halligan, and you're supposed to team up with the. They had outside team and inside team, and I remember it was Dave Donatelli.
Oh my God.
We had a small job or whatever, and he put his Halligan in, and I had my Halligan. He looked at me. He's like, "Where's your axe?" I said, "Come on."
I'll hit it with the Halligan.
I got to carry the axe, and it's just you should never stop learning, and you should be humble in your learning because this job will smack you in your PP at any given moment.
Yep.
How are the bobbies?
Oh, incredible! Especially both of them. And Thanos was he's like, listen, if you think about leaving or going back, you talk to me first. And just knowing that, was a blessing. Like, and when I first got there, I actually cut my original helmet almost in half with the partner. So I was cutting and it fell off right at the blade and it went across the roof.
Shot across the roof.
And I kept cutting as I cried. There's a picture that I have. And you can see the cuts. It's like sitting super low. That was 18 years of salt in that joint. And
was it? Did it? You crushed it? You destroyed it?
No, it couldn't be fixed.
Oh.
I still have it. I ended up giving it to my daughter. That was my oldest helmet. And I remember giving it to her. She's like, "Why are you giving me this ugly helmet?" And I told her, I said, "Hey, this is my oldest helmet. It's my first helmet, and it's the helmet I wore at 9/11. That's the helmet on the right.
Is that it?
Yeah, you can see the cuts.
Dude, was it the fro? What happened?
It saved me.
The one on the left was pretty damn salty too, man.
That second helmet, they gave that to me.
Yeah, if you had over 30 years, right? You got to keep your second helmet?
Yes, I kept all my helmets actually. I have a plastic helmet that my son has. When I got to TAC, I couldn't wear leather. They told me I couldn't. So
Cameron Peak said you're on my tour.
Yo, that's how sick they are. He worked for me. I forgot what it was for, Metal Day or something. And I said, "Hey, I said, yeah, I got you. When you?" He's like, "Nah, man, I
got you." Yeah. Now he's.
So listen, Cam. I had to work that tour anyway because I wasn't trying to pay the city back. So I worked it out. I had to work it though. Those tours, when you're going, they're gonna look at all your tours. So make sure your hours are straight. You don't want to pay the city.
The computer really screwed us up, huh? Back in
there's no getting over.
You will. Now they're taking cash from you when that happens.
Yeah. What? Cash.
So who was the bosses up there at that time?
I rescued.
The bosses? Yeah.
It was Captain Elson, Kevin Williams,
Oh, Kevin Williams, man.
Scotty Maxwell,
Scotty.
John Citarella.
We
And
got to
then we
get him
got
on.
Mickey Conboy came, the legend. Glenn Berube, Tommy Clare. Just very all super. It's like when you see competence, it's really all that matters. I don't care how your personality is. And that's how I kind of molded my career. Even if I didn't really particularly like you, if I saw what you did worked, I'm going to do the same thing because it's seconds. You can't go like this with a cigarette lighter and hold it there. This job is seconds. And you have to realize that. And whether it's putting on your gear quickly, because they've had guys try to come through, they can't even put gloves on. Get nervous putting gloves on.
You're doing it wrong.
And who was it? I remember. I forget his name. He was an instructor at the academy, but he was talking about when you're on the rig, take your time putting your gear and be
methodical.
Like calm yourself down and be. Should be doing the same things every time. I always place my gloves a certain way.
I did that my stuff was exactly the same way every run.
When my wife's probably laughing too, because she sees my stuff is all over the place, but I have an order. You know how I do.
Oh, yeah, you have an order,
except at home.
But even when I was 113 as a seated chauffeur, I had my bed right near the pole hole, and I wore blue track pants. So when I had to put them on, they were light. And I had slip-ons. I didn't have my boots because your boot, you could push the tongue down, can't get your foot in the boot. Meanwhile, you see everyone running past you in the dark, right? Going down, and you're the chauffeur. So I had my boots in. I had everything in the rig. And as soon as I heard the tone, I slid the pole, started the rig, put my pants on. I was ready. I was ready to go, and because I had 157 down the street. They're not giving up anything. Nothing. That was my main competition because they weren't giving up, and they're a very prideful company. Get phenomenal work. If that's who I shouldn't even say competing with, but that's what it was in Brooklyn. We all try to get it in.
It's so funny. I forgot to ask you if you were a chauffeur.
Yeah, I was a seated chauffeur for 2 years. I had 16 years on, and I was protesting. I was like, I
don't want to do this shit.
My first mutual partner was Richie Degman at 113 because we didn't do that in Harlem. We didn't get married because the theory was the guy who doesn't hook anyone up is not going to get anyone working for him. So it was kind of like, hey, can you do this? It was very cool. But when I went to 113, you got married to somebody. It was Richie Degman. And at 16 years, I was like, I don't want to drive. He was like, how many years do you have? I was like 16. He was like, it's time to grow up. And I loved it. It was nice knowing your position, and a rear mount was quick anyway. Yep. So I didn't have to worry about putting ladders up. I could just boom right to the window and go right in. It was great.
Who was your favorite guy in 3 that you really enjoyed working with, who you became close with? And was this one guy in particular?
A few. One of the guys who was just instrumental in making me feel comfortable was Patrick Hickey. As soon as I walked through the door, he's like, "Oh, look what I did." He did Steve Urkel. He made a Steve Urkel. Right? So I didn't know. I thought it might be like Super Buffy. He's sitting there with
funny, bro. Right?
Dude,
that's funny.
Like, did I do that? Just like that. And I started laughing.
Oh my shit!
And then he said, "Oh, you look like the sheriff from Blazing Saddles." I was like, I said,
"Dude, you look like the guy, bro. You
look like nothing like Cleveland Little." And I said, "That means I think all brothers look alike." And do you know Patrick? Patrick is 2 days older than me, so we're like, a kindred spirit. He was great. Dude. Everyone there showed.
I love that guy. He's a great guy, man.
You had like again, Athanas was just the father figure of the house. The bosses were always willing to give you information. It was nice working with Steve Carney. Brian Brown's probably one of the funniest guys I ever worked with. It's Brian Brown and Paul Felling from 113, two of the funniest guys I ever worked with.
Brian Brown is so funny that you don't even know how funny he is because it's so under the radar.
Is that the
right?
guy who plays with your daughter's?
Yeah, when I hang out
Get
with
him
him
on.
in the stand, I'm gonna get him. When I get him in the stands, it's hilarious because he's just quietly funny, man. He's just so it's classic.
And the senior guys there, I was working with guys who had like 30 years, and these guys could look
oh my god, that
at
was
a
so
situation and figure it out. Because I'm not a tools guy. The only thing I could put on my application was I'm a DJ. I had 18 years.
I said,
that's the really only. Oh, I have to tell you a story about DJing too.
I want to talk about that.
But anyway, the guys there show me so much love and support. And it truly is a gentleman's firehouse. It really was.
They always say that about THWEATT, right?
For that time in my career, it was good to be around older guys because I would be in the rat house, fireworks, burning the kitchen down. And don't get me wrong, I would be there all night partying. I was getting older, and and I had aspirations to go to Rescue 3 because I remember another image that I saw was Connie Tinney, who was from 28 Truck. He was in Rescue 3, and I forget the other brother's name, but you had two huge black men getting off the back step of Rescue 3 in 91. And it left such an impression on me. And I often tell, especially working in Harlem and Brooklyn, Flatbush, having a black firefighter, it sends a message to the kids that this job is yours because they don't know what's going on behind those walls. And it's so important for them to see themselves. I had it easy. I saw my father. So it was easy. But if you don't see somebody like yourself, you're just going to think it's not for you. I never had that. I always thought I was going to be Speed Racer, or I always thought I would be a Thunderbird, flying Thunderbird 2. I always felt like I was a pilot, not anything else. But a lot of kids, I'm sure, don't feel that because they don't have that imagery in their head.
Craig, I think we said this on the show. I don't even think I've talked about this. We had a bullshit box. It was like a man under or something under the L, right? So we had gone up, come down, and Rescue 4 showed up. This was early in my career. And Terry Hatton was in Rescue 4. And the guys got off. And I remember he looked like a kid to me. And I was a kid. I was 23, 24, right? And he looked very young to be a lieutenant in Rescue 4. And he was buttoned up. Hood on, helmet, collar, stuff hanging off him, right? The flashlights, everything. And I remember what you just said. That's what just made me think about it. Is how I looked at him and said, "Wow!" In my mind, "Wow, look at that guy!" Like that guy looked like he was squared away, ready to go. I mean, now, obviously, years and years later, even being in SOC, knowing he was in Rescue 1. When we were in SOC as fireman and squad, who he was, right? But that was the first impression I had of him as a young guy looking at a guy coming off a rescue rig as a boss, looking as young as he did, and how squared away he was. You know what I mean? And that goes to your point. You know what I mean? Like guys will, maybe that could be for me.
To go to SOC, you should look like you're in SOC. And again, like once I got to Brooklyn, I started really buttoning down. Because again, now I'm from Harlem and I didn't feel like I had anything to prove, but I had to show that what I can do. Cause you do get side-eyed when you're new. It's just natural. One of the things I tried to do is disarm people. My father showed me that when I would go to the firehouse at 12 years old, I had to shake everyone's hand around the table. So as soon as I get to 113, I shake everyone's hand. Some are dead fish, some are strong. That's so fun. I had a guy. He's because I can't say this. I can't talk about that. He thought I was a spy, and I said, "What spy brings a case of Coca-Cola to the firehouse?"
Allegedly.
Yeah, you have a soda machine. I'm showing love by bringing my case of Coca-Cola.
Right.
I thought you were a spy. I was like, no, I'm not a spy. I said, where I came from, it's
You
just
got
like
the wrong guy.
Yeah. Oh,
So
no, you got it
it's
all
no-
wrong.
You got it all wrong.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
And
Hey.
another thing about going to rescue SOC in
Oh,
general,
they're getting good guns.
the people coming have to recognize you're going to be first and up front with the trauma. And some of the incidents that occurred uptown, I'm glad I wasn't there. Like I've had people say, "Oh, I wish I was there." Like you don't want to be there when a bus turns sideways and goes through a stanchion and cuts through the bus like a blender.
Mm.
You don't
I
want
was
to
at
be
that thing. I went to
You
that.
just want to be able to think on I remember Captain Nelson telling me about that. He said you had to be focused and you had to take the dead body off the body that's alive and get the dead body out. You had to just go through like you're going through your laundry.
Sock drawer, right? Yeah.
Instead of dragging the bottom, and you have to stay focused. And we compartmentalize all that trauma. That when I hear about Newark, it really hits hard. Like I'm glad that have all my function, and I feel bad for all those who went before us, all our friends. 9/11, these tragic fires. It's just, and we have to be thankful for, and if you're working now, you need to be just try to love on and enjoy the moment, enjoy being in the firehouse, because once it's done, it's done. And some people still think it's just a job, but for me, it was never that. Because I had legacy things in my head the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Well, I was aspiring to just try
bigger shoes.
Yeah. For sure.
Dude, that's when we first talked. When you were in the TAC, you would come up in the office, right? I was in the tool room, ready to shoot myself in the head, and he would come up in the office. He would work out. The gym was right there, and then he would come in the office, and we would sit. And I didn't know Craig really. I mean, I knew him just from being in SOC, but he would come sit in the office, and we would bullshit for a half hour, 40 minutes. He would go down, because you're working 24 hours at a clip. But he was doing TAC, so he would get to have fun and go to
the TAC was
second alarm. I mean, if that ain't a freaking
that was a very misunderstood. For me, it was kind of misunderstood.
That's a great spot, man.
It is.
Mackerel. If you're on the way, that's a great spot, man.
I had half of the city. I had Atlantic Avenue North. It was incredible. And he said I would hear top floor fire. I would start heading that way. And they banged up the second. I was on it. I would go to command post, ding, and walk right in and hook up with the rescue battalion or rescue. It was very, very cool.
That's the rig right there with the boat. And that's Malcolm, Chief Malcolm.
Yeah.
Good dude,
Malcolm
man.
Moore.
Staff chief.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Chief of Special Operations.
Yeah. Good guy.
That's right. When we were there,
when he was covering as a captain, he was in 113 for a spot. We caught some work together. It was just fantastic.
He's a 111 guy, right? Isn't he a 111 guy?
214.
Yeah. Nice.
I don't think he was never in 111. 214. Then he was the lieutenant in 136. Captain of 107.
So he's never seen any fires, what you're saying?
Nope.
No.
We're gonna have to get him on too.
And you would see Chief Moore in the fires. Like he still wants to be on the knob.
Yeah.
He's totally committed, and his fireman IQ is off the charts.
When him and Chief Garrity, when he was there, God rest his soul, he was. Those guys would talk. They were both because they worked together. I guess 111 and 114. Yeah. They're definitely old school guys. You could tell they're old school guys just the way they talk at the table and everything. That was one thing too that working there. That I just talked to Timmy Garrity the other day when we had the squad party. Like him and his we butted heads, Chief Garrity. Because I was in the squad and. Yeah. But I'll tell you this: when I worked at Sock Island, I became closer to him because he was just an old school guy. He'd be out smoking a cigar right on the apron, change of tours, whatever, 6 o'clock. And I would go out, sit outside, and he'd be there and we'd bullshit. And I have to say, I did become closer to him, talking to him because it just, I wasn't butting heads with him at this point. You know what I mean? So
this job has a lot of, just to be a firefighter and then go into SOC, you have to be a personality. We all have different types of A personalities, he was just direct. He was very direct, and if he thought you were slacking, he was gonna.
Oh, he would call you out on it, no doubt. And,
Yeah.
and I can understand that.
Fine. You know, it's like, so when I would hear guys complain, I'm like, well, maybe that's cause, I don't know, you know.
You're a rubber. Hey, let me ask you a question, Craig. Like,
Yeah.
I know at some point in your whole career, you know, you thought you had these big shoes to fill with your dad. Was there ever a point where you said, yeah, I definitely made my father proud, you know, like you came to that realization?
I think getting on, because by then I was a lot more serious about the direction I wanted to take my life, because I was a little, like, I think my life was so nice growing up that I was like, I could float. And I remember just being in the bank, in the suit, hating it, not knowing if I liked the fire department. But the one thing I was more scared of than anything was being a loser. I don't want to be a loser. And I thought this job was stable and I would enjoy being outdoors. And next thing you know, I'm crawling down hallways, and it's unbelievable, the thrill that it gave me. So all the things I wanted to be when I was little, I grew up and I actually could be an adventurer. You feel like an adventurer, right? I mean,
there ain't no adrenaline rush like that, brother.
The first grab I made, I remember it's a brownstone. I go in real quick, make a right. I feel like, is this a foot? I start feeling the foot. All of a sudden, the man grabbed my arm. I think I screamed. And
freaking awesome, man.
And so I went to grab him. I didn't have my thumblets in, and so my sleeves on, and I started burning my wrist. And Chris was, I think Chris's last name. He's in 250. Might be a captain now. Played football. What's Chris' name? Spagnola. Chris Spagnola was a cam man. Chris is huge. And we got the person out, and I mean, but that intensity of, I went from, because when you hear that build up, multiple calls,
people trapped, man. Oh my God.
You have no idea, like that feeling, and it's like, okay, it's on me. And again,
it's on me.
We all have a fight or flight reflex. So we pretty much are working with fighters. Most firefighters are fighters. They're not fleeing. So you have all this built up energy, and you get to express it by helping people. It's pretty dope. It's amazing. And so I got this adrenaline, and then I'm scared shitless when the man grabs me. And then you get the gratification of saving someone's life. And my son had just asked me, has anyone ever come by and congratulate you? I was like, no. I said, but that's not what we do it for.
Humble. That's it, man. Yeah. Humble. No,
and like I said, when I saw my dad had a class 3 A's, I was like, I have nothing to complain about. What I see that he has, like, I was at a Rescue 3 ceremony, and this old timer comes up in the walker, and he was like, THWEATT, that's your
no shit.
You're his nephew? I was like, no, that's my father. It's like, he was a gentleman. He's like, I worked with him the night that MLK was assassinated. And they surrounded the rig, and your father got off and talked to the people, and they just left. No, and I saw him operated this fire, that fire.
Dude, that's crazy.
I've heard so many stories of him, like great stories. For instance, like, it was a stag party. They were playing cards. They had the girls there, and the guy gets a little drunk, and now he disrobes himself in front of the girl.
Yuppie.
And wants her to do something. My father grabbed the girls and took them out. This is like in the 60s. In the 60s, when they didn't we weren't always treated as equals on the job, just like the country. It's a microcosm. The job is a microcosm of society. So we have to manage the way I saw my father manage in society. He managed in the fire department, so that I can hear his name ring out with respect.
Sounds like a man with incredible integrity and morals. I can tell you
very integrous. Yeah, he's very integrous, man. And,
I know.
And I think he'd be extremely proud of your career, man. You had a great career, Craig. Really.
It was a blast. It was.
Guys are asking why you packed it in. Some guys in the. You want to go over that story? What happened?
Well, I said I was going to do 30 years because my friend Aaron Martin told me about this survey he had read on. Aaron Martin was in Rescue 4, and he read I think it was in fire engineering. It said if you retire by 55 and you're in the fire service, you'll live to be like 80 maybe nowadays. If you retire after that, you'll live to like 70 something.
Ooh.
And when I initially got on the job, I said I'm gonna do 30 years and 30 truck, blah, 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 blah. But I wanted to see the world. So once 30 hit, I was beat up anyway. I had a couple of injuries. You know, we play hurt for a long time, and then there comes a time where you have to tap out. You have to. I didn't do light duty until 25 years.
Wow.
And I had back in 30 truck, I remember John Tobin, he was in 28 truck, saved my life. It was a isolated vacant on Edgecombe. I had the roof and it was a fire like in the basement. So I took the stick up, did a perimeter. We used to have to take the fire escape and check the line via the fire escape. But I said, since it's in the basement, I'm going to take the bulkhead and take the doors. I'm not going to take this rickety fire escape. As soon as I stepped into the bulkhead, the marble, the plates had rusted.
Yeah,
and
yeah. It collapsed down.
I started falling, and I caught the banister. Now I'm hanging on the banister, and I hear it pancaking down. Kaboom, ba-boom, ba-boom. I'm just dangling there, and all of a sudden I feel this. Boom. Lifts me up like a mother.
He's a big dude.
Just like that.
John Tobin,
Yeah.
Rescue 1 Tobin.
Yeah.
And whenever I see him, I say, "You saved my life," and he's very humble too. He's like,
His daughter plays on my daughter's flag football team too.
That's why I work out. I couldn't do that. I would have to lash him and
Make it 2-1.
3-1, 2-1.
3-1.
Help.
4-1.
You know, he just plucked me up, man. And you work with him. That's amazing stuff. When you work with cats who can do stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
Even reading Metal Days. I remember reading Pritchard's.
Oh my God.
But the one that got me. So, here's my DJ story.
I was gonna ask you. I was gonna forget.
31 truck was supposed to do, I guess, Metal Day, but something happened. They had a fire in their kitchen again. So they asked us to do it, and one of the guys was like, "Hey, you said you're DJ, right?" I'm like, "Yes." And my father's there. My father introduced me to this guy. He's like, "I don't know anybody." He's like, "Yeah, this is a chief. This is Chief Tom Neary. This is my good friend." You know, I'm like, okay, Chief. You know, I don't know anything. And then I read these stories about how he took that Halligan on the door, made a shield, walked down the hallway, made a grab. I'm like, come on, I want to do that.
And I'm playing LL Cool J.
So I have all these people, my dad there, and I turn the speakers on. All I had was house music. I'm a house DJ. These guys were looking at me like they were going to strangle me. Yeah.
The guy's like, "You got any Tony Bennett? Where's the Tony Bennett?"
All right, then you have
20. I think it was 27.
Sorry, I just thought you wanted to Tony Bennett. Bust out some Sinatra for you.
But I did Metal Day 2017, and it was a great day. And I ended up with South Bronx. And they loved it. It was great. But it was just amazing to think of the way they were looking at me. I'm talking about I had that Greenwich Village house. They were not feeling it at all.
They weren't bumping, is what you're saying.
Nah.
No.
All right, so what's your DJ name?
Yeah.
Come on, everybody's got a
DJ CT. CT.
CT.
Nice and simple. Because no one says THWEATT right. So.
Well, I see on your Facebook page, you every once in a while used to go live. I don't know if
I
you
did that.
That
was
anymore.
my pandemic. That's how I was when I was healing with my shoulder.
Yeah, dude. When he was doing the live, I would just like, every once in a while I'd be strolling through there and it would be live. Next thing I know, I'm like,
it's like being in Miami, right?
Next thing I know, I'm like, back in the day in the 80s, right? Cool. Yep. Like, how you doing?
How you doing? Yeah. All right, so how'd you finally? It said something about a hospital fire or something. Didn't it? Injured at
the fire that I tapped out that
Six
had
to
that was
one.
just shot was when what's his name from Rescue One made the rope rescue? Jimmy.
From where?
Rescue One. He rescued the old man from the rear. That whole building top floor was on fire. Jimmy, what's Jimmy's last name? Sorry, I forgot.
Somebody in the chat will put it up there. I can't remember anything.
Yeah. That's the night.
Lloyd,
yes.
dude,
He's a good photographer. That particular picture, that night when that alarm came in, I sighed and like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I realized that I was done. And which is a blessing because someone told me, I had several people tell me, get out when you're ready. Don't get out before. Because if I got out before, I would miss.
You would regret it.
And not that I wasn't effective at the fire, but I just was tired. I was like, okay. Because 3:00 in the morning, turn out. And I was driving the rig by myself with Waze. Oh.
Yeah. And that's a big rig. You drive that rig.
Lee.
Yeah.
Lee from Rescue One? Lee?
Yes, Jim Lee.
There we go.
Jimmy Lee.
Thanks, Gabe Fox.
So that particular fire, I was in squad 41. I had the roof. So I see the building's on fire. I got to take the adjoining. I go into the foreside to go up. I look. I'm like, oh, there's smoke. Force the door. I make a report, squad 41 roof to command. You have a fire in the first floor of exposure 4. I search. Now everything's big again because now I'm searching by myself in the building by myself.
That's the only thing bad about the attack.
Yeah. I wasn't in attack then. I was in squad 41. This is what sent me to medical.
You got hurt, right?
And checked it, closed the door, go to the rear. That one was on fire. Boom. Searched it again. I searched 4 apartments before I never made it to the roof because it was in the shaft. All the apartments were on fire. And I was taught never to pass fire. And there could have been people in there. So I just made it. They didn't need me too. They were already executing that rope rescue. It was really pandemonium. And I remember the guy he was from 50 Engine. I'm in the hallway just hanging on my hook. And he's like, come on, 3, help us with the line. I'm just looking at it. I literally look at him and it's like, that was actually my last fire. And that was in the Bronx. And that's when I fell over the fence. The fence let go. And I have the video of that fire as well. And you see me on the roof on the firewall, and I was shot. I took my helmet off, and the thing about it is, I think it was more mental than physical. Because I had just dealt with my mom. She had dementia, and we took care of her for 3 years. And I wanted to enjoy another chapter in my life.
I remember when you were going through that, actually.
Yeah. This job, number one, held my hand through the whole thing. They gave me a lot of courtesies through the whole thing. And just psychologically, I was ready to move on and just enjoy because life is short. And I did 30 years. I was like, And I'm 50, 56 or 57?
It's time.
Something like it was time. And, my ego, that's one of the hardest things to do is when you're sitting in front of the board and you have to say, I can't do it anymore.
Right.
Or you could say, oh, no, I could do another 10. Or, for me, it wouldn't have been another 10 anyway because I was
50. You only had a couple more to go anyway.
Yeah, it was 27 when I got on. So it was time. And I just felt it was time. And I felt very blessed.
Guys, he's blessed. Look at the family he's got over here. You got a picture of his family over there? Look at these.
Yes. We have this guy right here.
That's my beautiful wife, Victoria, and Morgan.
Beautiful family, brother.
Christian and Jasmine. Jasmine's my oldest. She got the salty helmet.
Nice.
Morgan got the sweet leather one, and Christian got the plastic.
Now look at that one. Now he looks like Denzel in that one, bro.
Oh, yeah, right.
Tell him, Craig. Tell him.
Yeah. We all look alike.
My wife's Asian. I tell her that all the time.
I have to say, but you do look like this. You look like the saddle guy, bro. No.
Oh my
doubt.
God.
No,
Please,
not sitting here. He doesn't.
No, a little bit. If you put a cowboy hat on, maybe. I don't know.
Do you know the Waco Kid?
Excuse me?
Do you know the Waco Kid?
No.
No, I'm just kidding. It's the guy. Remember in Blazing Saddles, the right hand man,
Uh,
Owen Wilson.
Sleeping with
my
all the white
parents took
women.
me to see that movie too.
Oh my god! That's
Oh, this is another shout out I want to make though.
Do it.
Jimmy in the Quartermaster at the Rock. You know, he makes miniature helmets. I highly recommend people go to him. He made my helmets look like. Hold on, let me grab them.
Grab it. My face hurts, man.
I'm so glad we got him on the computer and not the phone.
Yeah, that would have been a little challenging, I think, with the computer.
No, this is way better. So this is a miniature. Where's the camera? This is a miniature of the one that got cut.
Oh, look at that. Oh, a little Christmas
And he
ornament.
made it exact.
He makes it.
It's got the cut.
He made the cut. He made the leather color of the cut. Then this is the other leather one I have. He even has, see the wire?
Yeah.
Wow, that's some good work.
And who is
man.
this?
Jimmy. He does the.
He's still there?
Still there
I gotta find out.
at the Rock. If you go to Quartermaster Rock next to the library,
And maybe
this
we'll
was
sell them on Getting Salty Apparel.
Dude, that's pretty cool, man.
look at
Yeah.
the little light.
Wow, he's got the light on there too, dude.
He's pretty.
What do you use that for? Like a little Christmas ornament or something? What do you got?
Yeah, I have it. I just have them near my kids' pictures. Each helmet for each child. I call them kids. My daughters are beautiful young ladies.
That's pretty cool.
But I have my dad's helmet from one of his helmets from 28. It's one of the old molded ones.
I got my father's too.
Yeah. So I realize how precious those are, especially once they pass. My cousin has one of his helmets as well. My cousin Pete. I think I had a picture of my cousin Pete.
Yes, you
Throw it
do.
up
But
there.
because 28 Truck did a little over a year in quarters with us. This is the night that I met the guy from 113. He was like, "This is just like our Firehouse." I was like, "What?" Right? You know. And I'm telling you, they were running like number 3, number 2, number 1 in the city for a good stretch, and they're always up there, and they do great.
Smoking a cigarette there?
I was gonna say, what are you smoking?
That's that was a Tiamo rum twist.
Oh,
Yeah, oh nice.
Oh,
It's like
nice.
a Denobly.
Yeah.
Do we have any more picks, Gonzo, or that's it?
Throw 'em
No,
up.
we have a few. We have
throw
still
them
a
up
few.
there
from-
before we
let's
get
do
to
that
the, you
before
know
we go
what?
to
The
the
old school
All right,
tip of the
we-
day.
We got this one from Rescue 3.
That's the
Oh,
day I
that's
cut my helmet.
Who's the young guy in the back? That young lad.
That is Cinderella's son.
All right.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
Good officer. He was real good. He was super calm.
Yeah.
Super
Yeah.
calm.
You got your medal day.
Metal day.
Metal day.
Who's a cowboy in the front, Mickey?
It is.
Yeah.
Come on, who's gonna have? Look at the stuff he's got
What
on
a
his-
rack he's got on.
Salad.
Yeah,
He's leaning a little to that side too, isn't he?
yeah. His back's gonna go
He's
out.
got counterweights on the other side.
Yeah.
Ah, there he is.
That was at the Harlem explosion, gas explosion
Yes.
by the train. That was on video.
Coobs, what do they got on that tire over there?
Oh, what do they call those? The dollar.
They're all the tow truck dollies, but I forget what the actual
forget what-
term is.
It's a something
move-
jack. I
Yeah,
forget
you
what
can
it's
move
called.
you can move the car with
Yeah.
those.
You got these guys.
Hey, there you go, little.
These are my
little Ryan.
third class of
Right.
91.
Low.
All 3 of them are still working too.
Suckers.
They gotta go. They gotta go fishing or something, man.
Come on, Ryan. Get out already.
Those are the brothers of Sock. That was for Black History Month for I think the Firewire or something.
That's my boy there, Al Francis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good brothers.
Nice.
That's a great shot, man.
Yes.
Where is this taken?
Rescue 4.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
And you got these guys. Yeah, this was your last tour.
Yeah, that was my last night. My son spent the night. He
Oh,
thought
Sock
he was so
Island right there.
excited. He did the house watch with me, and I think there was a multiple on. But by then I was a tool messenger, which was pretty nice because
Oh, I
I
know
got to
about
visit
that.
everybody.
Oh, I know about the tool messenger.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I believe this is the last one.
30 truck.
Kind of what your Harlem Zoo. I'm gonna take a quick scan. I mean, you have 30 truck. If you guys want to see the old truck,
Nice.
Wow, look at that.
I was on that rig briefly. Then we had a spare with the phone booth. And then we ended up getting 38 trucks old rig, and 38 truck got the 110 footer, the LTI. So, but this rig,
that LTI was garbage, right?
Yeah, it was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think Ford Truck had one too.
Oh, those things are called the Go Jacks.
Go Jacks,
Go Jacks. Right.
That's the African American Day Parade. I was with the ceremonial unit.
Yes.
That was I gotta give Joe LaPointe nod, because he really, again, the beginning of my career was the biggest impact was that funeral of my father with everyone down there, because back then old timers would pass away, no one would recognize them, and now the ceremonial unit will send someone there. I've seen a lot of sad funerals, especially up in Harlem, where the guy's dying, it's just a couple of old dudes, and now the ceremonial unit will take care.
That's great.
Retirees, everyone who's sick. It's just
that's good to hear. Work. That was another great thing one of the great things that came out of 9/11, unfortunately, right, is that those guys, that's the ceremonial unit. You worked with the ceremonial unit for a little while, right? Didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, I did too. I thought that was a great thing, setting stuff up, and like you said, they don't forget. They make sure that there's some guys going to every funeral if they, whatever. It's
a lot of pride. It's funny.
Yeah.
Some people are ticked off when they're like, "Hey, you got sunglasses on, you're in the front, you got to take them off," or you got on white socks, you can't stand in the front. It's all about representation. It's all about presentation, and we're doing this for the family who lost their. Like I said, if you've never been on that bus, you don't know what it's like, and we need to represent as best we can especially when we're honoring our families. When we're away on Christmas, Thanksgiving, we're in the Firehouse eating turkey hot dogs. We have to let the families know that it wasn't for nothing. So,
Craig, there was nothing better from going to those things, which was such an awful situation, than being at the end of the line and watching the family still, you could see it in their face. They could not believe how long it was going, right? Like they're looking out the limo, or they're looking out the bus, or the family's looking out the bus, right? Everybody's looking straight.
Yeah.
But as they go by, you could see their face.
Yes.
And that's the truth, right? You could tell that they're like, they cannot believe that what we're doing. And
everybody in the bus is
worthwhile.
looking, it's amazing. Everyone in the bus is looking out at the line. It's because it is something, and hopefully no one has to go through that. But I really have to look back. If I went to 5 truck, how many times I would have done that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Bobby Poncell was a 117 guy. He was a big guy, 225 guy. He was in the ceremonial unit too. Patty Lee was saying.
And that's another reason why I felt blessed to be in busy companies, but I never would look down on a company that's slower. The only thing I ever look down on is if your attitude is like, you're not into it, then that's a problem. Because I remember in 113, we had a covering captain, didn't do roll call, shut the door. He was in there building a ship in a bottle. Did you not, right? So now they turn off the alarm lights. This guy can't get out the office. He finds a phone and calls the dispatcher. Tell the house.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine the incompetence?
No.
This guy was in 113.
Ready to lead men.
And he was one of those 10-point mass inspectors.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Well, you could check this guy.
I don't care where you're from, because I've seen guys in busy companies who fall short because they're fronting. It's not, you can't front. This job will sift you out. It will humble you.
Yep.
I think that's the best thing about it.
I was just going to say that, Craig. That is the best thing about the job is, like you said, if it's something else, you're going to find that out anyway. But the bottom line is we all depend on each other, and you're only as good as the weakest link, and you have to shake out the weak link. If it's really a weak link, right? I'm not talking about other bullshit. I'm talking about if it's a weak
usually
link,
show themselves though.
right? You have to shake it out. There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
And I hope that still is the case. I don't know if that's always the case, but I hope
think it'll always be the case. The job is just inherently, it sifts you out. And when I taught at the academy, it was awesome because, and I taught the first, it was a priority hire class. It was the first list of the priority hire class, and I remember some people trying to discourage me from being in the class. Like, oh, you're going to get jammed up. They're going to jam you up. I'm like, not going to jam me up. I said, my goal is to teach with integrity. And that's what I tried to do. I tried to teach all the students with integrity. And if there was an African-American kid who will come up and want to talk to me, I can definitely talk to you about your assignment. Do you know what you're doing? If you're having issues, I can talk to you about how to deal with the issues, advice, where to go, who to talk to. And in doing that, I thought I was doing the right thing. There were people who were complaining about that, saying I was coddling the probies. And that's someone who doesn't know me. Unfortunately, people who knew me stood up for me and said, no, he's not that way. That's not the lineage, so, that my job is to make sure everyone gets out alive. And I was the only black guy in probie school. And when someone came to me and said, oh, you're going to be the physical fitness award winner, I was like, no, I'm going to be the valedictorian. I was neither, but I was under the radar. But to assume that is wrong. But I get it. I get it. And my job was to just be proficient.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's good. Coop says that all the time, man. He loves when somebody says he's too short to do something or he's too this to do something. Then I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to stick it right up your ass. You know what I mean? Like
that's my bread and butter.
That's
tell me
bread and butter.
Tell me I can't do something,
or tell me I'm going to be something or can't be something. That's where you should get the pizzazz to do more, right?
And I had to thank Pat Tracy. He was captain of 32 Truck at the time, but he was doing, I guess, personnel at the Rock. He got me to come, and it says a lot when someone likes your work ethic. That's what he said. I like the way you work. I like how you approach things, and I want to pass that on because you can enjoy the job more if you feel comfortable at a fire. That's the worst feeling when you feel like I don't know what I'm doing. And I even had that in 3. There was a time you have to drill all the time. If you get, no matter where you are in your career, you have to drill. And we had a rope job and I wasn't drilling enough. And I remember I had the safety, took it out, and I took the safety apart and did something, and it was slowing it down, slowing the operation down. And the look that the guys had when they looked at me, the disappointment, I was like, Jesus Christ, I can't have this happening again. So we make everything fireman proof. It's ready. All you gotta do is clip it in. And then when you approach everything like that, whether it's your gloves, whether it's your hood, whether it's pulling up your pants quickly, if you constantly try to improve yourself to make yourself better, you can have a good career. You can be safer, I think. Awesome. I'll tell you, it was awesome.
Dude, you done good, as they say on Sheffield Avenue, brother.
But I think we got one more thing.
Oh, that is right.
You know what we got, Gons?
What do we got?
You know.
You ready?
We have to do it.
Go.
It's time for the old school tip of the day.
We're not saying you're old. It's just an old school tip.
Not referring to your age.
Tell that to my knees.
Take it away, sir.
I had a fire. Was detailed a 69 engine. Knew nothing about the engine. We're standing fast. This was like maybe an Edgecombe. There was always fires on Edgecombe back then. Now it's super expensive. But this particular tenement, people coming down the fire escapes, and you could see the fire rolling behind the window. And a woman was hanging on the fire escape and was scared to move. So now it's a log jam right in front of the fire. And again, I was like on probation. I'm looking, and I didn't say anything. And nothing happened. But what I should have done is suggested, hey, we should have a hose right here for a water curtain in case that window breaks. Because those people would have been roasted. So even when I'm a pro, but we're talking the 16th Battalion. Thorough firefighters, but sometimes things get overlooked. And if you see something, I don't care if you're a probie or the oldest guy, just say something. Just say something. And I always look back at that and wish I had, and I'm glad nothing happened. The other thing, probably the biggest thing, my father told me this: model yourself after a firefighter from the fire floor back to the kitchen, not the other way. That's pretty much it.
Dude, when you told me that the other day, I was like, oh my God, that's freaking, that's perfect. Because
That is great.
That's what the job is about. I mean, I don't have to like you, but I like the way you force that door. When you get back to the kitchen, that's a whole different story. But if you're like, this guy's a loudmouth, I've seen that.
No,
Loudmouth.
we've all seen that.
Loudmouth. Coward.
Until it comes time to pay the piper, right? Of course. Everybody have seen somebody like that.
You know who I'm thinking about, right, Ruff? Early in your career.
Oh, I got a couple of guys. I got a few guys. But listen.
Oh, Mr. THWEATT, I thoroughly enjoyed going over your whole career. And you are a man of integrity yourself. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from this show. And I appreciate it.
Actually.
Thanks
I
for
knew it
having
was
me.
going to be good.
I really like the show and continue success.
It's refreshing to watch an episode without an Italian as a guest.
Oh, me, yeah.
That's my lieutenant, Patty Lee.
How can I get a brownstone lighter?
You got it.
We'll send you one. You got it, brother.
And a cigar cutter.
Yep.
Yeah, you definitely want one of those bad boys.
Yeah.
I got you, brother. I got you. You know that.
For sure.
All right, so we are off again this Monday because it's the summertime. And we're back on Thursday with Louie and I's old lieutenant, right?
Timmy Lee.
Timmy Lee.
Timmy Kelly. I'm sorry.
Timmy Kelly, Lee, whatever. Same.
Timmy
Patty,
Kelly.
Timmy
Patty,
Kelly,
yeah.
the old Rescue 1 codger, is coming on next week. And again, thank you, Mr. THWEATT. Great career.
Thank you for the hot toddy and
Yes. And
Thank
you know what? Some of the things that your dad said really inspired me too. I appreciate you sharing those.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It was
sure.
It's nice to recognize him, you know, and keep this going because younger firefighters need to hear this stuff and they'll take it and they're gonna save someone's life. Like stuff that's shared on Getting Salty.
And we just punched your ticket for the boat cruise, fella. How do you like them apples?
I sent you the email, so take a
August
look
5th.
if you're in.
Oh yeah,
if you're
thank you.
available.
Yes, thank you. I'll be home. Yeah, I'm going to scout camp on Sunday for a week. So.
Oh, my wife in scout camp. Where you going?
On Tiara?
Oh, she's up there now with my
Yeah,
boys.
I'm going from Sunday to Saturday. So.
Oh, see that?
See, it's nice when you're
hot
off.
toddies up in the upstate.
Yeah,
Oh,
when you're off and retired.
that's frowned upon in the Boy
I know.
Scouts. How you like that?
Allegedly.
All right,
Some
boys.
things never change.
You got any shout outs, Ruff?
No, I don't have anything.
Gonzo, anything from you?
No. Just have a great guys. Enjoy the summer. Who's ever not around?
Shout out to Al Benjamin, by the way.
Big Al, we're trying
Get
to
him
get
on the
on.
show.
Big
Tell
Al.
him to come
Yeah,
on
I've
the
seen him
show,
all over
Big
the
Al.
place.
He was very influential. Very influential.
Well,
How about
tell
my
him to
boy
come on the
Coward? I'm
show.
working on Dell.
Oh, one of my presidents, and I like to thank Khalid Baylor because he appointed me first VP of the Vulcan Society. I did one term and learning how the 8th floor works, and I tip my hats off to all the past Vulcan presidents. Even today, I saw something about Vinnie Julius back in the 60s had the UFA write a letter saying that we don't condone hosing people who protest. And that was a Vulcan Society initiative that took place years ago. So they've always been doing great work. I often feel like a lot of people misunderstand the society and how it moves, but I'm a legacy Vulcan member too. And it's just all the societies, our goal is to bring new people in, make them better, and make the job better. So we all got to continue to do that.
Do it.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, Ruff. Gons, Mr. THWEATT, again, thank you so much.
Correct. Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much, brother.
Thanks.
We got to get, we'll talk to you in the after show. Don't go anywhere yet.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere.
All right, guys, we will see you next Thursday. Until then, stay low and go, and let's go Jets.
Oh.
Mhm.
Guys, some people never learn. All right, we'll see you at the big one, everybody.
All right, guys. Have a good night.